Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition and the Skyrim Anniversary Edition update. My name is Camel, and today I have for you easily the most requested video ever on my channel. So, I heard what you all wanted, and here I have made for you a full showcase of my entire mod list for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, with the Anniversary Edition update as well. We're going to have all of the info, the name of the mod author. There'll be a link in the description and in the comments to each mod with timestamps as well, and we're going to have comparison footage to vanilla. So it's not just going to be one of those videos of my character walking around for 2 hours. It's going to be targeted, specific overviews of every single mod, so that you can really get a taste of making your game go from this to this. Now, of course, I would like to clarify that yes, this is using the Skyrim Anniversary Edition update, and the mod list works perfectly. Most of this mod list was built before Anniversary Edition came out, but since its release and since updating my game, everything works exactly the same as it did before, because it's all just visual overhauls. So I don't use the Skyrim script extender or any mods that require it. If you do use the script extender, you may run into some issues with the Anniversary Edition update, as they have changed a bunch of the game's code. But for this video, and for this mod list, yes, it all works with the new Skyrim Anniversary Edition update. Thank the Nine Divines. Now, I'd like to say that if you do enjoy the mods you see here, please show your support to the modders themselves. Download their mods, endorse their work, and leave them a nice comment. This is all a showcase of their amazing work, so they deserve all of the credit. While sure, it was painstaking to put this video together, I didn't do much else other than click install a few hundred times. So the true heroes are the modders. So please sing them praises if you do enjoy this video and what you see in it. Just quickly, I use Vortex to run and organize all of my mods. I don't use an EMB. Anything more complicated than click to install once, I'm honestly not that interested in. I'd consider myself amateur when it comes to modding, so there really isn't anything complex here at all. It's also very important to note that I'm using a very high-end PC, so everything's running at 4K, everything's recording at 4K, 4K monitors, all that jazz. So if you do want results in your game that match what you see in this video, you would need a higher end PC. I don't want to give anyone false expectations. Now, of course, because I make videos based in the Elder Scrolls games, exploring their lore and stories and curious things put into the game by the devs, I want the game to at all times feel like Skyrim. I want it to look like Skyrim, have the atmosphere of Skyrim, the vibe of Skyrim. So I don't go for any really crazy complete overhauls like making every tree purple and turning all saber cats into elephants with 7 heads. So it's very important to me that the game still feels exactly like Skyrim, that you know exactly what game it is at all times. Just, you know, with modern day graphics. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my complete modern visual overhaul mod list for Skyrim SE and AE. Firstly is the most important one, the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch by Arthmore. Now, Skyrim is infamous for having bugs, so naturally the first mod anyone should get is the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch. I don't know how many bugs this thing fixes, but if you look at the complete changelog and then look at the size of the scroll wheel on the side of the screen, you will soon realize that this mod doesn't fix a couple of bugs. It fixes tens and tens of thousands of bugs and glitches within the game. My words cannot do it justice, but this mod does do the game justice and is an absolute must-have. Next is the Skyrim 2020 Parallax by Fusha. This is probably the most vital mod when it comes to reduxing your Skyrim Special Edition with modern graphics. Now, this mod project is so big that the single mod has 3 separate files that you will need to download: Skyrim 2020 Landscape, Skyrim 2020 Architecture, and Skyrim 2020 Other. Collectively, these 3 files change around 2,000 textures. This mod doesn't change absolutely everything, but it is the foundation for everything that you'll be seeing in this video. Dare I say, just about every single shot you see will contain at least some textures from this mod. I cannot praise it highly enough, as not only does it provide new textures for a vast chunk of assets in the game, but the textures themselves are beautiful. Great composition, great fidelity, great contrasts. The overall design is really beautiful. Some of the textures are photorealistic, like I look at a wall and I'm just like, Oh, it kind of actually looks like a real wall. I could spend all day talking this mod up, but in short, it's a must-have foundation for anyone who wants to bring their Skyrim Special Edition into a modern age of graphics. There are also a number of optional files. Notably, I have the alternate White Run Walls and White Run Roads. That's really hard to say. Which, as you'd expect, bring stunning visuals to those said assets. So if your computer can handle gigabytes of 4K parallax textures, I would point you no further than this very mod, Skyrim 2020 Parallax. It's absolutely stunning. Next we have the Enhanced Lights and FX by Anamorphous. This mod is a staple for the atmosphere and visual ambience for my Skyrim build, and is a brilliant staple for lighting. While I don't use an ENB, Enhanced Lights and Effects brings lights to life in a similar manner. Not quite like an ENB, but it looks really, really good considering that it's not an ENB. It makes all the light sources emit light, it adds new candle smoke and water reflections, it adds translucent effects to market stall roofs and tents, it adds shadows to lighting sources, it adds lights and colours to inns and cities based on their local weather. The list goes on, but overall it's a must-have to bring beautiful dynamic lighting with minimal to no FPS loss. It comes with a bunch of different options like Enhanced Lights and Effects Enhancer, Enhanced Lights and Effects Hardcore Mode, Enhanced Lights and Effects Exteriors, Weathers, Enhanced Ice, etc, etc. So there's plenty for you to have a play around with different settings until you find a setup that suits you and gets the most out of this mod for you. And if you do use Enhanced Lights and Effects, you're going to want this next mod, which is Enhanced Lights and Effects Fixes by WizKid34. To go along with Enhanced Lights and Effects is ELFX Fixes, which corrects some minor issues with the base mod, primarily how lighting interacts with objects to create and cast shadows. So you'll want to get this mod along with the previous mod. It just bolsters your lighting experience in game. Next we have Realistic Water 2 by Isoku. Water is one of the things that is just all over the place, and therefore it's very important to have it looking as good and drinkable as possible. Well, look no further than this beautiful mod. I'm not actually sure if you'd call it a texture mod or a model mod or what, but whatever this mod does, it does so very well, and it completely transforms the look of all the water in game, providing stunning crisp streams, ponds, lakes, creeks, brooks, oceans, seas, springs, and all other types of water that I'm forgetting. While all visual mods are easier to understand with your eyes, this one really is hard to explain with words, but also easy to appreciate with your eyes. But it goes beyond visuals, as many small changes have been made that make a huge immersive difference. Like ponds and pools no longer have a current in them, they just sit still like they should. Icebergs occasionally crack and gurgle, green object texture reflections in water have now been fixed, splashing effects now have a 3D model, the list goes on and on. In short, when it comes to water in Skyrim, this mod will have you covered and dripping wet in no time at all. Oh, this next mod, CC's UHQ Mountains by Clarence. Now, mountain textures are probably the most used, most commonly seen, most widespread textures in Skyrim. Basically, wherever you are at any point, there's usually a mountain texture in frame. So, of course, finding a mod that provides really good mountain textures is very important. Now, there are plenty of mountain retexture mods out there. For whatever reason, to my eye, the bulk majority of mountain retexture mods just don't look good for one reason or another. Luckily, this mod exists, and I have loved it since the first time I saw it. It looks exquisite from long distance, from moderate distance, close up, and really close up. From any distance, the rock has character and distinct patterns and cracks and shapes. It's not too dark, it's not too bland, it's not too bright, it's not too grainy, it's not too flat. The contrast, the colors, the fidelity, and overall design is rock solid. There are a few different options too, like there's a brown option, a dark option, and a vanilla option, and the vanilla option is the one that I've gone with because to me at least it looks perfect in game. Now, it might seem silly, but this is probably one of my favorite mods for how simple yet elegant and effective it is. Next, we have Just Ice by TechAngel85. Now, much like the rocks and mountains in game, ice is another big one and very important to get right, and this mod does just that. Just Ice provides, in my opinion, the best ice textures in a very similar fashion to CC's Mountains. From all distances it looks great, the contrasts and patterns are perfect for adding character to the ice from very far away and close up. The fidelity and subtlety of the design makes it look and feel like a truly icy experience. The patterns don't feel repeated and same, every piece of ice feels unique, and that all comes down to brilliant texture design by the creator. There are layers of transparency to give depth and volume and a wondrous sense of true Arctic mystery and archaicism. This mod does the ice in Skyrim true, Just Ice. Next we have a quality world map by Chesco. Skyrim's map is one thing you'll be looking at a lot during your playthrough, so you want it looking as nice as possible. Well, this mod has you covered, completely revamping the world map with new textures and details that will have you appreciating the land of Skyrim even more. There are also a few different options available, so you can have the perfect map of your choice. Next we have pastel map markers by Ititomix, and to perfectly complement a high quality world map we have some very beautiful map markers, with nice soft pastel colors used to more easily identify what you're looking for on the map, and making the map a more lively interface to explore when compared to the boring white and grey and black that we got in the vanilla game. Hopefully Bethesda takes a hint from this mod and makes their future maps more colourful, like ours is now. Next we have the Static Mesh Improvement mod, SMIM, by Brumbeck. The Static Mesh Improvement mod is a classic and a great foundation mod that fixes the models for a lot of 2D assets into 3D assets, funnily enough making them look much more realistic and lifelike. It also improves a ton of textures in the game as well. All in all, it's a massive collection of miscellany, but it vastly improves hundreds if not thousands of meshes and textures, and is a great mod to build upon with more specific texture and mesh mods. It's a must-have for baseline modding for anyone looking to overhaul the visual experience of this Skyrim playthrough. Next we have HD LODS Textures SE by Abenderon. LODS are textures and models in the distance that aren't their fully rendered selves, but they're so far away in the game that it loads a very basic version of an object to give the illusion that it's actually there. Of course, the better they look, well, the better your game looks. This mod does just that, greatly enhancing the textures for just about every LOD asset in the game. While it's not blaringly obvious because the changes are so far away, it will kind of subconsciously make your game look much nicer and immersive. Next we have Terrain LOD Redone by T4GTR34UM3R, which I'm sure spells out something quite clever that I can't figure out. Now this mod, in a completely similar fashion to the last mod, covers all of the LOD terrain textures, once again bringing higher quality and more detailed textures to the landscapes of Skyrim, giving the draw distance and faraway locations a more immersive and seamless experience. Next we have Rally's Solstheim All-in-One by Rallyitor. Rally does do a lot of great work, and this is no exception. Here we have a texture pack that combines 8 of Rally's other mods into one package, those being Rally's Raven Rock, Rally's Tel Mithrin, Rally's Reekling Outposts, Rally's Solstheim Landscapes, Rally's Solstheim Plants, Rally's Solstheim Scathecraw, Rally's Dark Elf Furniture, and Rally's Solstheim Shrines, collectively retexturing hundreds of assets introduced with the Dragonborn DLC. Everything from towns and buildings to landscapes and plants to furniture and shrines to Reekling Outposts, the list goes on. Collectively, there are, I think, at least about 400 file changes with this single mod, and I can say it looks great, and my time in Solstheim is greatly enhanced because of this mod. Yes, now onto the textures for the Dwemer stuff. It gets a bit complicated. Firstly, we have Frankly HD Markarth, the White City Redux by the Frank family. This mod is gorgeous and has brilliant composition and fidelity, making Dwemer Ruins look beautiful. I love the depth of contrast, it really breathes new life into some boring old stone. Sadly, it doesn't change the appearance of all Dwemer assets in the game, but that's where this next mod steps in, as we have Frankly HD Markarth and Dwemer Ruins Expansion by Kalharan. This is a combination mod that brings together bits and pieces from other mod authors' works into one single easy to install mod. This is really helpful because there isn't just a single mod that retextures all of the Dwemer assets, well, until this mod merged multiple mods together. All of the mods that this single mod is comprised of will also be linked below in the description and the comments. It combines the frankly HD Markarth White City Redux, which is required for this mod to work at all, along with Underground, a dungeon texture overhaul, and Cleverchaff's Markarth and Dwemer Ruins 4K and 2K by Cleverchaff. Overall, a great mod combining several other great works. Next we have CC's HQ Mines Redone by Clearance Clarence. To go along with our beautiful mountains, we have a beautiful mod from the same author to transform all mines in their interiors into stunning environments, visually overhauling all of the stone, wood and dirt that comes with them, from crisp lichen-covered rock walls to wood so sharp it's got termites salivating, to the fidelity-filled dirt and pebbled floors. While mine is in the name of the mod, it's not minor by any scratch of the imagination, although you will want to become a miner just to hang out around these textures for longer. Next we have CC's HQ Caves by Clearance Clarence. This mod is, as you'd imagine, more brilliant work from Clearance Clarence and retextures all of the cave interiors, including the floor. Interestingly, unlike the previous mod, this cave one uses very similar textures as the mountain textures we covered previously, which one makes it all feel more connected as it matches, and two, well, those mountain textures look amazing. So if you did want any rock textures for your caves, well, these are the very ones you would hope for anyway. Next we have Farmhouses and Farm Towns by Cleverchaff. Here we have a really truly lovely mod that replaces the textures on all things farmhousey and farm-towny, like big stone walls and things like that. I personally find this mod to be beautifully designed, well contrasted, and the fidelity just does not let up, providing an absolutely gorgeous aesthetic to otherwise boring cottages and farmsteads with delicious detail and design. Next we have Skyland Nordic Ruins by SkyKing 2020. Now Nordic Ruins are of course an absolute classic within Skyrim. You'll be seeing a lot of them and spending a lot of time within them. And as far as my personal taste goes, this mod does the best job of retexturing them. Although I will admit this could definitely do with a 4K version, as once you start to get too close to the textures they really lose fidelity fast. Probably one of the weakest mods in regard to fidelity that I have installed. However, and that's a big however, the design in this mod is so nice. The strong contrasts in the carvings and the stone walls create a real sense of wonder and mystery, transforming the kind of boring tombs into fascinating dungeons. It just brings so much character and intrigue to the otherwise fairly boring Nordic Ruins. Every time I enter a burial chamber, I always go, damn, that looks good. So while fidelity isn't great, the overall experience this mod delivers, in my opinion, is not matched by any other Nordic Ruin retexture mod. Next up we have CC's Fort Dawnguard Reborn by Clearance Clarence. Dawn has come for the visuals of Fort Dawnguard, as this mod retextures the whole damn thing, making you more inclined to join the faction, just to hang out in the castle a little bit more. While there are a number of Fort Dawnguard retextures available, this one just pleased my palate more than the others. Next we have Fort Dawnguard HD by Pradith16. Now this is a complete Fort Dawnguard retexture mod, but I just have the optional file that brings a brilliant new texture to the Fort Dawnguard front gate and the banners. Next we have Castle Volkihar HD by Pradith16. Of course, if we're retexturing Fort Dawnguard, we have to do the evil dudes too. Well, their home at least, as this mod brings all new super high resolution textures to Castle Volkihar. It's even available in 8K if you do want to set your graphics card on fire, which is me apparently. All of the stonework and other bits and bobs have been revamped while still entirely sticking to the vanilla design. Castle Volkihar will be looking so good even Dracula himself will consider moving in. Next we have Cleverchaff's Sovngarde by Cleverchaff, of course. This mod is quite radical as it deviates aggressively from the vanilla design. However, for Sovngarde, I kind of like the idea of the afterlife, the literal heaven, seeming a bit more god tier than just a stone hall. As you can see, this mod pimps out Sovngarde to look like the palace of a god, with white marble and gold all over the place. For me, while it does deviate from the vanilla vibe, it does feel more epic and appropriately more epic than just another stone mead hall, and it does do so with great fidelity, a really nice mod. Next we have Skyland High Hrothgar by John Rose 81. While the fidelity of this texture mod is a bit dated, you get a bit too close to it and it rears its low res head, the overall design and contrast balance I adore. So while there are many high Hrothgar retexture mods, most of which offer much higher fidelity and resolutions, this one just tickled my fancy the most. It's got character and therefore it's my mod of choice when it comes to high Hrothgar. Next we have SkyHaven HD by Clever Chaff. Here we have a rather crisp new look for SkyHaven Temple, adding some jade green accents on certain aspects, giving the architecture a slightly more unique and Tamrielically foreign motif, which is fitting of course, as this would be much closer to the ancient Akaviri architecture. Next we have Iconic's Alduin Wall retexture by Iconic Death. This mod is very important for making the ancient Nordic lore much clearer, as Alduin's Wall is a piece of history, and it's now available in up to 16K resolution. I'm not joking, this mod actually provides that. I didn't really know what to say other than it looks really good. And if you do want to see more of it, check out my video on Alduin's Wall explaining what it represents, because in that video you'll be seeing a lot more of this Alduin's Wall mod. Next we have Auriel's Chantry HD by Pradith16, bringing a beautiful new texture set to, of course, Auriel's Chantry within the Forgotten Vale, and all of the ancient Falmer ruins also found within the region. The textures are really lovely, have really nice contrast and overall design, and is yet more gorgeous work of Pradith16, along with the next mod, as we have Ancient Falmer Auriel's Chantry Throne Replacer HD by Pradith16. Now this uses matching texture sets from the previous mod for the throne that Archcurate Vertha sits upon, and for whatever reason, it isn't part of the Chantry overhaul that we just spoke of, but it is its own separate mod for this one asset. Very strange, but it is what it is, and well, it's a very nice looking chair. Next we have Cairn HD by Lod7995. This mod provides a complete visual overhaul for the plane of oblivion known as the Cairn, the realm of the ideal masters. It brings not only new textures for all the eerie and spooky assets in this desolate plane, but also fixes a number of other visual issues that plagued the Cairn in the first place, making it look even scarier in all new high fidelity detail. Next we have Clever Chaff's Apocrypha by Clever Chaff. If you have seen my Apocrypha Curating Curious Curiosities video, then you have seen this blessing of a mod in full swing. It brings all new textures to just about everything in Apocrypha. Not only that, but it does so beautifully. While maintaining the design and feel of the vanilla game, it totally transforms this forbidden realm into a high fidelity masterpiece. Next we have detailing the Eldrich high-res Apocrypha Temple of Mirac Black Books by Rickard. Now this mod also reskins everything Apocrypha, but in my loadout it's just loading the Black Books, as it's the only mod that I can find that actually retextures the Black Books themselves, but the rest of Apocrypha is being retextured by the previous mod. Next we have Hermaeus Mora, Water and Tentacles, my HD version by X-Tutor. And to top it all off, we have this mod, which kind of just fills in some gaps of the previous two, as it brings all new higher resolution textures to Hermaeus Mora, the tentacles, the eyes, and the water, greatly improving the appearance of the textures from vanilla, and when in conjunction with the previous two mods, fully retextures the Plane of Oblivion and all things Apocrypha related. Next we have Glorious Doors of Skyrim by Hype1. This mod opens the door to some really cool and unique door textures to dazzle up the entryways in-game. There are a ton of doors in Skyrim, and this mod makes them actually interesting, with tens of handcrafted all-new designs and animations. Your city gates, taverns, temples, mines, forts, ruins, what have you, will now have you stalling to enter as you stop to inspect these gloriously nice doors. Next up we have HD reworked Falmer Architecture 4K by Halk Hogan. This mod retextures all of the Falmer architecture, you know, their huts, their fences, their bridges, their chests, their totems, their pods, etc. I've always found Falmer architecture something that is missed by a lot of texture overhaul mods, so it is very nice to see it getting some attention here. Although as nice as they look, Falmer settlements still creep me out. Next we have Ethereal Cosmos, Special Edition by Gamwich. Ah yes, the night sky, a dazzling beauty that we all know and love. Well, Ethereal Cosmos brings new higher fidelity and detailed textures to the beloved night sky of Skyrim. I personally find a lot of the night sky retextures a bit over the top and not too much to my taste, but this particular mod suits my galactic palette quite well, simply beautifying and enhancing the sky while maintaining that vanilla DNA and vibe perfectly. There are a number of options available like Twinkle and Vivid, but I just have the standard mod installed and you can play around with those options for yourself. Next we have Skygazer Moons, Massa and Secunda HD retextures with glow by Fading Signal. Are you a big fan of Azura? Are you a big fan of the phrase Moon and Star? Well, this mod has the moon part covered, bringing new HD textures to the moons of Tamriel, Massa and Secunda, also bringing a new glow effect to them, adding a little ethereal spice to the night sky. Next we have Dust Effects by Haley by Dark Jesus MN. Now, living in the city of Sydney, dust is something I know all too well. But with this knowledge I can confirm that with this mod, dust has never looked so good. Vanilla dust has a 128p texture, whereas this mod provides a 1024p texture, which, even if mathematics is not your strong suit, it's obviously many times higher resolution. So when it comes to mods, don't simply dust this one off, install it. Next up we have Spray by Ramcoid by Shadow Angel 9. Here we have a rather simple mod that brings new higher resolution textures to the ocean spray found on coastlines on Solstheim. Simply sprays those textures all over the place. And to go along with it, we have Mist by Ramcoid by Shadow Angel 9. In a very similar fashion, this mod provides better textures to the mist in-game, making things mistier in higher, more mystical mist textures. Next we have Rustic Windows Special Edition by Gamwich. This mod provides all new textures to the windows dotted around various buildings and structures throughout Skyrim. Not only that, but it does so beautifully, with really cool stained glass comprised of brilliant textures and contrasts to create a real thick and primitive glass appearance. The overall design of it slots perfectly into the world of Skyrim, and at night there is a lovely little glow that brings all these windows to life, and the world they exist in to life as well. Next we have Iconic Statues by Iconic Death. This mod brings new textures to most of the statues within Skyrim. It is a great baseline mod to build upon with other mods, and in my opinion is superior to other bulk statue retexture mods that are currently available. But nonetheless, this one brings brilliant textures to many of the statues in-game. Next we have Shrine of Azura HD by Fading Signal. And by Azura, here we have a nice retexture for Azura that doesn't turn her into a balloon-breasted anime vixen. But if you are looking for such things, plenty are available on the Nexus, let me tell you. Anyway, this mod provides some much needed love for the Daedric Prince of Dusk and Dawn, bringing a nice, simple, new vanilla-friendly texture. Next we have El Sopa, Talos HD by El Sopa. This mod is the best Talos statue retexture replacement that I can find, bringing much higher resolution skins to all of the Talos statues in the game. A worthy brush up for the god of man, Talos. Next we have the True Beauty of Dibella statues by Let's Try Again. This is a remodel for the statues of Dibella, which quite simply makes her form more fitting for a goddess of the promiscuous persuasion and, shall we say, perky personality. In layman's terms, it makes Dibella thick. Yes, now next we have something really cool, and it's actually 3 separate mods coming together to make one thing work really nicely. Firstly is Solitude and Temple Frescoes 2019 by Spartan Sith 118. This adds artworks of the divines behind each of their shrines within places of worship, namely within temples. but I don't really see any of the artwork in this mod as being particularly lore relevant, as in it looks more like a medieval hermetic imagery rather than something based off of the Elder Scrolls lore. But it does add a really nice sense of grandeur and beauty in divine decoration to the shrines and places of worship in Skyrim, and overall just looks really cool. Now the second mod is Solitude and Temple Frescoes Mesh Fix and Cube Map Patch by Cthulhu's Thrall. This, as the name suggests, fixes a bunch of meshing and cube map issues that the original mod had with some of the environmental mapping. And the third mod is HD Textures for Solitude and Temple Frescoes, with Shrine Base by Moonmods. This is all new high-resolution versions of the artworks added in the original. The difference is night and day, as my biggest complaint about the original was the low resolution of the textures. Luckily, this mod came along in a nick of time to bring the beautiful art and concept into a more modern-day visual experience, making it much nicer to lay your eyes upon, and you can enjoy your praising experience to the divines a little bit more. Next we have Better Dirt Cliffs and Alphas by Cthulhu's Thrall. This is a mod that we needed badly, as it fixes a bunch of meshes and alpha channels, I don't even know what that is, but it fixes them, to do with blending textures and models involved with dirt cliff edges, along with bringing some new textures. I found that these assets, as in dirt cliffs, were completely missed by all other mods that I have, so having this mod, for me at least, is a must-have to get those dirt cliff edges looking nice and immersive, and blending in with the rest of the overhauled Skyrim. Next we have CC's Remastered Murals by Clarence. This is a retexture mod for the murals that can be found throughout Nordic Ruins in dungeons all across Skyrim, depicting the various ancient Nordic heroes and deities. This mod is available in 8K, which delivers some truly ultra crisp murals with amazing fidelity, as so we may appreciate them more as we trudge on by in yet another dungeon crawl through a Nordic ruin. Next we have Astral Aspect by Clarence. Here we have a really nice retexture mod that delivers great fidelity while also bringing good contrasts and designs from a further distance to all of the standing stones in Skyrim. Getting a new birth sign is kind of a powerful moment in Skyrim, and this mod brings equally as powerful visuals to the monoliths that bestow such great power unto our characters. I guess you could say that these textures have an aspect of being astral. Next up we have WizKid Signs by WizKid34. Looking at the merchant signs in vanilla is a clear sign that they needed some brushing up, and here we have a mod that does just that, and nicely too. While there are a number of mods that retexture the shop signs in Skyrim, they have a wide variation in quality and design. For me at least, the best balance of both of these that I've been able to find is this mod, WizKid Signs. Next up we have Sky Fix SE HD Blacksmith Signs by Covert Kish. The vanilla blacksmith signs are unsightly, but luckily this mod comes in to save our eyes and retextures them with a much needed overhaul of modern graphical standards. There aren't many mods that address this object, so HD Blacksmith Signs is a saving grace for anyone looking for such a mod. Next up we have CC's HQ Road Signs by Clarence. Here we have a mod that is a sign of the beautiful modding road ahead, as it provides up to 8K textures for the road signs of Skyrim, making them super nice and crisp with lovely fidelity. That has actually made me stop and look at the signs, something I never really did before. And just like how the signs will point you in the right direction, I'm now doing the same thing and pointing you in the right direction to this mod. Next we have Rally Smithy by Rallyator. Something we use all the time in game but rarely gets any attention is all of the blacksmithing, furnishings and work areas. Well, now we have this rather lovely texture replacer for anvils, smelters, blacksmith hammers, hot iron rods and tongs. Next we have Skyrim 3D Blacksmith by Matthew17. While this mod does cover a number of pieces related to blacksmithing, in my loadout order the only thing that it's doing is the grindstone. And what a lovely job it is doing, making looking at a grindstone in game no longer a grind on your eyes, as it just looks so much better. Next we have Forge's Match by Awesome Possum. Here we have a rather interesting one. Normally, forges have a different texture for their top stones, which for whatever reason never get any love in retexture mods. Well, this mod, Forges Match, fixes that problem by assigning the same texture as the body of the forge to the top stones, making them look much higher res and match the existing texture used for the rest of the forge. Next up we have Iconic's Jurgen Windcaller Tomb and Horn retexture by Iconic Dev. A tomb that mysteriously has Daedric text on it has now been given a lovely new texture. Interestingly, this texture seems nice from a distance, but seems to lose quality the closer you get. But once you get super close, the true exquisite fidelity of the texture is revealed and you can see the excellent details within it. Kinda weird how that works, but overall it's a really nice texture mod. Next we have 4K Hagraven House by Cunny 1975. Very simply, this brings all new textures to the ugly old houses of the Hagravens. Not that it's very hard, but now these huts will look better than the creatures that reside within them. Next we have Imperial Tents retexture by Cunny 1975 again. Here we have, once again, a simple texture replacement for all of the Imperial tents, both small and large, that can naturally be found within the Imperial camps that are dotted around Skyrim. Next we have Winterhold College Gate Glow Restored, Cut Content Restoration by Exeldurin. Here we have a cool little mod that actually re-implements a glow map from the gates within the College of Winterhold that were unused files within the vanilla game. So this mod simply puts them back into the game and gives the magical institution an extra sense of arcane power and wonder in its architecture by adding this kind of subtle blue glow outline to the eye that you can find on the gates within the College of Winterhold. Next we have Luxury Lava Texture Replacer by Heart Attack Man. I honestly believe that Skyrim lacked one essential component of a classic fantasy game, and that is lava. There's plenty in Morrowind, there's plenty in Oblivion. Well, probably too much in Oblivion to be honest, but Skyrim, it was just missing. Lava is encountered once in the Dawnguard DLC, and well, it's a special occasion. Luckily, this mod has this once in a playthrough sighting looking in absolute tip-top shape, with beautiful fidelity, detail and overall design, doing the fantasy trope of lava absolute burning justice. Next up we have Iconic's Blackreach Crystals retexture by Iconic Death. Now while Blackreach is super cool and all, I always found the textures of the Ethereum geodes to be rather, well, old school in their fidelity. Luckily, this mod has come along and saved the day, giving them a much needed pimping to the high quality texture these legendary geological lumps deserve. Next we have Blackreach Spores by Unimpressed Panda. This mod is quite subtle but nice, as it replaces the textures of the spores found floating through the air in Blackreach, and much for the better. Vanilla spores are 128p by 128p, whereas this mod makes them 512p by 512p, essentially making the fidelity like 4 times better, especially when combined with the complete new textures that have been created for them. They're not only bigger, but they're actually new handcrafted ones that look really, really nice. Next up we have Blended Roads by that same guy T4GTR34UM3R, which again I'm sure spells out something clever that I can't figure out. Now this mod blends the ground stones on roads to the ground mesh instead of assigning a texture to an extra mesh. This eliminates a lot of the visual issues related to roads and the textures/meshes stacking oddly and not coming together smoothly. This mod will blend right into your loadout. Next we have No Snow Under the Roof by Prometheus_TS. Here we have a simple immersive mod that removes snow from the floor under roofed areas and adds 3D snow in areas where snow would gather, increasing the amount on top of roofs and such, and removing it from undercover areas. While it is kind of, dare I say, unnoticeable, once you see the difference, it does make a big difference. It kind of fixes an issue you didn't know you had. Really nice mod. Next we have Rally's Nightingale Clutter by Rallyitor, a small mod that brings higher res textures to the Nightingale architecture, namely the circle, the banner, and the stones. Next we have 3D Whiterun Trellis by Sparrow Prince. This is a very small and simple mod, but it is one that I searched long and hard for. Normally, the trellis wood within Whiterun is a 2D model with a visually offensive texture. Well, this mod fixes both of those issues, bringing a new 3D model and a new texture to go with it. You will have to download both files separately, but that is a very small task for such a drastic improvement. Next we have Ustengrav Dragonstone redone by Cunny 1975. A rather niche mod, but it'll make someone happy. While you do only see them once in a normal playthrough, this mod brings new textures to the Ustengrav Dragonstones, making these unique assets look much better than they did in the vanilla game. Next we have Potema Ruins Door by Cunny 1975. Potema the Wolf Queen was a nice addition to Skyrim, but the door to her temple was not. Luckily, this mod exists as it retextures the door guarding her tomb, massively enhancing the fidelity and design of the studded slammer, protecting an ancient, cruel, and frankly quite angry dead queen of Skyrim. Next we have JS Lockpicking UI SE by John Skyrim. Here we have a nice little retexture and remodeling mod for the lockpicking user interface. The fidelity is lovely, but for me at least I find it quite dark, so I can't really appreciate the artistic design of it overall. But nonetheless, it's a small price to pay as it is a very lovely upgrade from the vanilla one. Next we have Rally's Manhole of Solitude by Rally Eater. Here we have a retexture mod for the manhole covers found in Solitude. It's a very niche mod, but it is a texture that doesn't really get covered by any other mods that I've been able to find at least. So freshening these manhole covers up from that vanilla design and look is a nice way to complete your overall visual overhaul of the capital city of Solitude. Next we have Skyrim SE Improved Puddles by PC Gamer. The puddles in vanilla are quite frankly a puddle of few textures, and one of the more aggressively underloved textures in the original game, and at the same time are missed by all large overhaul mods. Luckily, this small little mod addresses the issue by providing all new puddle textures that are immeasurably higher fidelity and quality than the ones given to us by Bethesda. And now we're moving on to the category of flora, fungus, and ingredients. First up is Skyrim Flora Overhaul SE by Vert. This is one of the most important mods for overhauling Skyrim to make it feel fuller and more wild, painting the land with a rich and diverse range of flora. It brings new tree models, it brings new grasses, bushes, plants, all things flora. Not only does it introduce a ton of new plants that seem to fit right into the world and don't feel out of place at all, but it also provides all new and improved textures for the existing flora of the province. Green forested areas feel denser, more ancient and mysterious, while snowy forested areas have much heavier snow on the trees. The grasses and ground level bushes and shrubs will be rich and thick, dotted all over the place, making the exploration of Skyrim feel totally wild and bustling. With 18 new tree models and 65 new grasses and plant models, 180 new textures of all types of flora, and with all that said, when you just install it, it just makes the game feel so wealthy with a high fantasy atmosphere that you won't be able to resist getting lost in it. It truly lives up to its name. It is a complete overhaul for the flora of Skyrim, and when it comes to plants and the like, this is an absolute must-have mod. Next up we have Simply Bigger Trees SE by Fading Signal. Here we have the classic tree overhaul to turn your Skyrim from a moderately forested land into a much denser, higher fantasy experience. As the name suggests, this mod simply resizes all of the trees to 1.8 times their vanilla size, which has great effects on transforming the land into a rich and deep exploratory and visual experience. It also adds extra branches to fill out the trees and their new size. Branch sway speed has been reduced to match their new scale, and there are a number of optional plugins on the mod file downloader for various compatibility with other mods and additional files like realistic aspens, LUDs, and high definition tree bark. All in all, Simply Bigger Trees is a beautiful mod that will transform Skyrim to have a much heavier, lusher, and more dense fantasy feel with the new ancient towering forests. Now, to go along with this mod, we have the next mod, Simply Bigger Trees Floating Tree Moss Fix by Edmund Noir. This mod is a must-have if you're going to be using Simply Bigger Trees, as while the trees get bigger, the hanging moss on them stays in its original place, which results in floating moss. Luckily, this mod author has gone through and moved all of them to their correct new positioning. So once again, this is a must-have unless you enjoy floating moss. Next we have Realistic Aspen Trees, SE by AkiQ. Now the vanilla aspens are all a kind of dark yellow colour, but this mod breathes new life into the Rift by bringing realistic aspen tree colour variants with more reds and oranges, turning the previously golden fall forest into blazing bosks and flaming woods, just adding a dash of variety and again a higher fantasy feel, for me at least. Next we have Tree Bark in High Definition by Mysterious Dawn. If you're looking for better looking trees in Skyrim, then you are barking up the right tree with this mod, as it brings all new high definition textures to the trees of the land, and it is compatible with Skyrim Flora Overhaul, Simply Bigger Trees, and Realistic Aspens, so it will slot right into your loadout if you do use those mods. Next we have Cathedral Plants by Johnny Wang 13. Here we have a lovely mod that improves the appearance of plenty of plants and shrubs and other bits and bobs with much needed refreshing new textures. Staying true to the original designs, simply just remade with much higher resolution. There are a lot of files in here that are also covered by Skyrim Flora Overhaul, so you will have to test both out and see which you prefer in your game, as the fidelity and quality of both mods are about on par to my eye at least, so it just comes down to taste. Nonetheless, Cathedral Plants is a great foundation mod that brings about 60 new and improved textures to the plants of Skyrim. Next we have Rally's Blackreach Mushrooms by Ralliator. There are few places as magical in atmosphere as Blackreach, and that is due largely in part to the giant glowing mushroom forests that spawn from the ancient stone and soil grounds. Well, this mod here replaces the textures on these said giant glowing mushrooms, providing them with a skin that is deserving of such a cool, magical mushroom. Next we have High Polycanticle Tree by W. Skeever. This brings a much needed refresh to the canticle tree, giving its model many more polygons and has updated UVs so the textures doesn't appear so low. Next we have 4K Tendril Vines by Cunny 1975, a lovely little mod for lovers of Periite, as it retextures the tendril vines found all throughout the quest The Only Cure, making this really unique and creepy, viney, tentacly setting look really cool, and it's almost reminiscent of some aspects of the Shivering Isles. Next we have Ivy by Mari by Art by Mari. Here we have a lovely mod that retextures the ivy found on walls and rocks all around the province of Skyrim. The fidelity and contrast and overall design is absolutely stunning. The difference between this and vanilla is night and day, and will make console users absolutely envious. Envious? No? Okay, well, I tried. Next we have Dandelions, Realistic Dandelion Seeds by Akin Tiaguk. I personally didn't even know falling dandelions were in the game until I installed this retexture mod. Generally, they can be found floating through the air in forested areas, but now with this mod installed, if you happen to spot one close up, it will be looking so crisp it could trigger your hay fever through the computer monitor. Next we have Snowberries by Mari by Art by Mari. We all love picking some snowberries as we travel across Tamriel. Well, now they will stand out even more with this lovely revamped texture, which covers both the regular snowberry bushes and the frosty snowberry bushes. I think you already know what I'm going to say, but this is a very nice mod. Next we have the Poison Bloom retexture by Cunny 1975. Poison blooms are one of the rarest plants in Skyrim, making their harvestable ingredient equally as rare. Luckily, despite their obscurity, we have a mod here that retextures them and makes them look better than ever. If the original textures were Poison Bloom, then this mod is the Cure Bloom, fixing this rare asset right up. Next we have Spiky Grass by Mari, by Art by Mari. Mari coming in hot with yet another beautiful little mod that retextures the spiky grass in game, both the plant and the ingredient, making it even more tempting to pick these little spiky boys despite the risk of being pricked. There is a dark and bright option. I have gone with a bright option as it seemed to match the original design much more. Next we have Cathedral Mushrooms by Johnny Wang 13. Now much like Cathedral Plants, this mod brings all new and improved textures to the mushrooms of Skyrim, although it does miss the scaly Foliota and Mora Tapinella, but luckily they are covered by other mods, so the bulk majority of fungus found throughout Skyrim will be covered here by this mod, and it all looks very nice, and completely true to the vanilla design as well. Next we have Mushroom Retextures Revamped by Cunny1975. Here we have a mod that doesn't take up mushroom, but makes a world of difference to the mushrooms in game, changing the textures and meshes for most of the mushrooms in Skyrim. But in my loadout, I have it only changing the texture of the flyer monitor. As for this particular mushroom, I prefer the texture provided by this mod over those provided by Cathedral Mushrooms. Overall, really cool mod. Next we have Mora Tapinella 4K by Cunny1975. Here is a much needed mod for any fungal fiends of you out there. A retexture of the Mora Tapinella mushroom found primarily growing on logs and stumps. This is the only mod that I've ever found that actually addresses these textures, so it is a welcome one. It changes the mushroom and the ingredient and the moss that accommodates them on the log. We definitely need more of this kind of mod. Next we have Rally's Glowing Mushroom by Ralliator. This is available in two slightly different versions. What you are seeing is the default version, or version 1 if you do download it. This is a retexture for the glowing mushrooms, obviously, which brings a crisp new look to them, giving this fungi some more character and makes them feel even more like a magical fantasy mushroom. Next we have Dragon Tongue by Mari, by Art by Mari. In a flurry of deja vu, Mari is back with yet another stunning retexture mod, this time for the Dragon Tongue plant and ingredient. Staying very true to the original design, it just now comes in really crispy fidelity. Next we have HD meshes and textures for animal and creature drops by Aviform. This mod brings new higher definition models and textures to bear claws, hagraven claws, hawk feathers, hawk beaks, hawk tusks, and saber cat teeth. A kind of weird, obscure mod, but it does do quite a nice job of fixing the things it's set out to fix. Next we have Thistle by Mari, by Art by Mari. Here we have a stunning retexture for both the thistle plant and the alchemical ingredient, bringing them to a much more modern graphical standard, as always with Mari's work. Next we have High Poly Gleam Blossom by Power of 3. Here we have a mod that doesn't retexture but just remodels the Gleam Blossom, providing them with much higher polygon models, which makes them look more realistic instead of a blocky Minecraft-esque mess. Next we have Deathbell HD, all new textures by Fading Signal. Here we have a mod that brings beautiful made from scratch textures to the Deathbell, both plant and ingredient, making me willing to take the risk in consuming it, just because it looks so nice with its high fidelity and complete loyalty to the original design. Next we have Swamp Fungal Pod by Mari, by Art by Mari. This is a gorgeous retexture for the Swamp Pod. Now I will say that it does stray somewhat from the vanilla color scheme, but overall you still know what it is and maintains that Skyrim DNA that I find so important to uphold in my game. And I think this mod has done its job well, because I'm even more grossed out by these Swamp Fungal Pods because they look even better at being gross. Next we have Tundra Cotton by Mari, by Art by Mari. Now if you haven't cottoned on yet, this mod brings all new modern textures to the Tundra Cotton, making them look even softer and more cotton-like to the eyes, thanks to the beautiful work by Mari once more. Next we have HD Wheat by Abenderon. Ironically, the vanilla textures for wheat are grainy. Luckily, this mod has come through like a Reaper's Scythe and fixed that right up, bringing high quality textures to both the bales of wheat and also the harvested ingredient itself, making the grain less grainy, which sounds odd but is very good for your eyes. Next we have Hanging Moss by Mari, SE by Art by Mari. If you've never felt compelled to hang out with moss, you might be now, as Mari has provided a beautiful retexture for the hanging moss in-game. This mod also covers the Emperor Parasol moss introduced with the Dragonborn DLC. Just know that they are two separate files on the mod page, so you will have to download and install them separately. Next we have Lavender by Mari SE by Art by Mari, a mod that looks as sweet as lavender smells, bringing all new, more realistic textures to the lavender plant and ingredient. Next we have Jazzbay by Mari by Art by Mari. Here we have a mod that will jazz up the textures of your Jazzbay grapes found in the wilderness of Skyrim, changing both the plant and the ingredient, bringing a huge improvement over those flat 2D vanilla textures. Next we have Juniper by Mari by Art by Mari. Here we have one of the highest fidelity retexture mods that I have ever seen, completely refacing the juniper bushes. The model is completely different to vanilla, and so is the color scheme. However, there is a breed of juniper tree in real life that looks exactly like this one, which is what I suppose Mari has designed this off. However, despite the complete departure from the vanilla design, my god, this is the crispiest, highest quality juniper bush I've ever seen. In fact, I think it's the highest quality plant retexture I've ever seen in Skyrim, so I could not pass it up. Next we have Ingredients by Fusha. Here we have a mod that is a vital ingredient to making your alchemy experience nicer, as it retextures and remodels a number of the ingredients found in-game, providing new models and brand new textures to those alchemy ingredients that we all love to collect and consume while brewing up a potion. It's a great baseline mod for ingredients and a good starting point to making those little bits and bobs look much better in your game. Next we have Extraordinary Eggs SE by Da Shonde. This mod replaces the textures for all of the bird nests and eggs in-game, although for my loadout it is only covering the thrush eggs and nests and the rock warbler eggs and nests. The egg designs are beautiful and bring a real egg-cellent touch to the items. Next we have Bird and Chicken Nests by Alduin, and here we have the other mod that covers the chicken nests and eggs and hawk nests and eggs, as I just prefer the textures that this one provides for those two, and the textures that the previous mod provides for the other two, hence why I have the file loads mixed between these two mods. Overall, excellent work here. Next we have Human Heart Retexture by Cunny1975. An often overlooked alchemical ingredient, the human heart has had some much needed love. This mod is all heart and makes that very rare alchemical find all the more special with a very nice sanguinous retexture. Next we have Retextured Pulsing Daedra Heart by Cunny1975. This mod comes with a few different variations available. I have the dark red option installed. The classic Daedra Heart has had a facelift with a brilliant new texture and a cool glow map that, well, makes it glow. Next we have Pearls by Sumerian Rose. This is a beautiful remesh and retexture for both the small pearls and pearls to make them look absolutely stunning. It's got incredible composition and clarity from all distances, and overall just a really beautiful design. Next we have Salmon Row Replacer 3D by Nexus Mods Caretaker. Here we have a nice little mod that retextures the salmon roe within the game, making those little spheres of undeveloped salmon babies look all the more appetizing. Next we have a Giant's Toe retexture by Cunny1975. The Giant's Toe is quite a grotesque item to view in game, but now you can enjoy its grotesqueness in an even higher quality, as this mod freshens up, if you could even call it that, the textures for the alchemical ingredient, in quite impressive fidelity and detail. Next we have Elsopa HD Briarheart by Elsopa. ELFX captures our hearts once again with this mod, as it rather beautifully reskins the Briar hearts that you will find around the place, or rip out of the chest of an actual Briar heart. It comes in a red version and a yellow version. I have gone with the red version as I think it's closer to the original vanilla design. Next we have Silky Spider Eggs by Dawnguard Door. We all love an egg from time to time, but these ones ain't for boiling. But they are some hot new textures for the spider eggs. There are 3 options to choose from: the silky, scaly, and slimy. I have gone with silky as it suits my taste, both visually and comestibly. Next we have Chorus Egg and Staff by Kanjas. This mod brings new models and textures to the Chorus Eggs, both the piles that can be found in dungeons and the actual alchemical ingredient, making them look really quite nice with its high fidelity and loyalty to the vanilla design. Next we have Skeever Tail HD by Fuchsia. The old Skeever Tail is one of the harshest things to lay your eyes upon in the vanilla game of Skyrim. It looks like they pulled the model and texture straight out of the Elder Scrolls Legend Battlespire. Luckily, this mod addresses this crime against the eyes and remodels and retextures the Skeever Tail. I'll admit it looks kinda weird, but even then it is leagues and bounds better than the vanilla Skeever Tail. Next we have the Soul Husk retexture by Cunny 1975. This mod provides all new textures for the weird little things known as soul husks found throughout the Soul Cairn. So next time you stop to pick some up, well, now they'll just look much nicer than that soulless vanilla texture. And now we're moving on to other miscellaneous random bits and pieces, which to be honest is probably the biggest category of them all. So first of all, we have the Forgotten Retext Project by JD Anchor. This is a great baseline foundation mod that retextures 100 or so random bits and pieces, like a lot of miscellaneous items that are often, funnily enough, forgotten. In my loadout, most of these textures are being covered by more specific retexture mods, but again, it's a great foundation mod to get a ton of stuff covered at once and then build upon that. Next we have the Rustic Clutter Collection, Special Edition by Gamwich. Here we have a classic texture improvement mod, bringing iconic designs to the random bits and pieces found all throughout Skyrim. Cups, plates, tankards, bowls, pottery, silverware, bottles, satchels, knapsacks, the list goes on. And not only that, but the texture designs and contrasts are truly beautiful, giving a very subtle but massive facelift to every room you walk into in Skyrim. Next we have the Ruins Clutter Improved by Razor FX. Here we have a mod that does anything but ruin the ruins textures in-game. While I do have a bunch of mods that overwrite this for various files, there are still hundreds of files being loaded by this mod, bringing newer, higher fidelity textures to handfuls upon handfuls of random bits and pieces, usually forgotten by other mods. It's a great baseline mod to get a bulk of items and objects looking much better to their vanilla counterparts. Next we have Texture Overhaul, Clutter by Catoxiva. This mod retextures a handful of clutter items like baskets and wooden carts, road signs, but most importantly for me, it brings a lovely new skin to the wooden crates, which I was previously unable to find. Next we have Rustic Furniture Special Edition by Gamwich. I must admit that I basically never sit down or sleep in Skyrim, however this mod's new textures for furniture sure make me tempted. Covering tables, chairs, beds, bookcases, display cases, etc, you know what furniture is. Well, that stuff. The furniture now looks nice and crisp. Next we have JS Shrines of the Divines SE by John Skyrim. Here we have a mod that retextures the shrines to the 9 divines, and my oh my, these textures are so crisp and clean they could turn even an atheist like myself into a religious man. The fidelity and design is truly beautiful, stunning in fact. Compared to vanilla, it's night and day. These are some of the best textures I have ever seen in a game, let alone in Skyrim. If there is one thing this video will teach you, it's that John Skyrim makes some sexy textures. Next we have Rustic Soul Gems Special Edition by Gamwich. This is one of those mods that just speaks to me and I love it to bits. A retexture for soul gems seems simple enough, but it just does it so well. The overall design and choice of slightly opaque textures really captures the soul of soul gems. There is also a neat little addition this mod brings, which is that filled soul gems glow and pulse, so you know which ones are filled and which ones are not just by looking at them. Overall, this is a must-have for me, ironically bringing so much life to these items that quite literally signify the end of life for your foes. Next we have JS Purses and Septims SE by John Skyrim. If you didn't already love making and collecting gold in game, well now you will, as this mod is just 10 out of 10 in all regards. It is so beautiful, retexturing all of the gold septims and coin purses in game with a level of detail and crispy fidelity that I have not seen before. Just absolutely stunning work, deserving of a gold star. Tiber Septim would be proud to have his face on these coins. Next we have Rustic Animated Potions and Poisons by Daily Planet. Much like Rustic Soul Gems, this is one of my favourite mods visually, bringing texture overhauls to all of the potions and poisons in game, but also delivering all new animations to really create a sense of magic and life, with slightly transparent glass textures and movement in the liquids within the tiny bottles. Whether or not you liked alchemy before, you'll thoroughly enjoy spending time around these potions even more now. Next we have Book Covers Skyrim by Daniel Kofi. Books in Skyrim and all Elder Scrolls games for that matter are a fertile delivery system for in-game lore and knowledge. Well, this mod shows them some love by providing textures for all books, journals, diaries and notes, bringing all unique designs to the hundreds of texts found throughout Skyrim. I would personally love a 4K update for this, as when viewed up close, the textures do show their age, but with that said, they are leagues better and more interesting and varied than the vanilla books. Next we have Skyland, Ships and Shacks by SkyKing 2020. Now, I've never been particularly fond of boats, aka prisons on water, but now with these new textures I am compelled to spend more time around them, in Skyrim at least, transforming everything boat related from tiny little rowboats to long ships to galleons. All of their wood has had a facelift and they will be looking pretty damn good, and quite frankly as fresh as the water they glide through. Next we have High Quality Food and Ingredients SE by Darchandol. This is a great mod and brings higher definition textures to a ton of food and ingredients within Skyrim. I personally can't be bothered counting the files one by one, but at a quick glance it looks like there are about 200 file changes, so this mod covers a lot and is a great baseline when working alongside other mods to fully overhaul your culinary and alchemical experience in Skyrim. Next we have Realistic HD Food Remastered by Halk Hogan. This mod also covers a ton of food textures, yet it seems to conflict very little with the previous mod, so between the two of them we have a very nice foundation for making all of the food in Skyrim look pretty damn tasty, to both your eyes and your, well, avatar's tongue. Next we have Rustic Cooking Special Edition by Gamwitch. Here we have a retexture mod that covers a handful of food related items but primarily deals with actual cooked stuff. So you know, the spit roast, charred and grilled food items and stews, making that fake food look so much tastier than before. Next we have Embers HD by Mind Flux. Here we have a mod that I adore. It brings all new textures to the embers found in various fire sources throughout Skyrim. It makes such a difference and has beautiful design, fidelity, contrast and colours. An all-round winner that still just slots in perfectly with the original vibe of Skyrim. It's red hot, you could say. Next we have Metallurgy, Ingots, Ore and Veins HD by Fading Signal. We all love smithing in Skyrim, that's no secret, but now you'll love it even more, as this mod brings beautiful new textures to the ingots, ores and ore veins in game. Truly stunning work with a level of detail, character and fidelity that makes these smithing materials just truly gorgeous. Next we have Detailed Chests Texture Replacer SE by Clint Mitch. We all love a nice big juicy full chest, and the wooden chests too. Well, now you'll love them even more, as this mod brings crisp new textures to those trunks of treasure, staying very true to the original design, simply making them much nicer to look at, visually improving your hunt of lost treasures and gold throughout the province of Skyrim. Next we have JS Baranzaya SE by John Skyrim. Here we have another gift from Mr. John Skyrim himself, completely pimping out the crown of Baranzaya and the stones of Baranzaya too. As always, everything John touches is just the most dazzlingly and brilliant style imaginable. The design and the fidelity and the contrast and all the boxes you could wish to be ticked are ticked here. Next we have WizKid Alchemy Table by WizKid34. Here we have a really cool mod that retextures the alchemy table and all alchemy table related models. The texture design deviates quite heavily from the vanilla design, but boy oh boy does it look cool. I much prefer this over the way the vanilla one was designed for sure, with its sleek stone tabletop and beautiful glass textures, making me want to make more and more potions just to be around this table for longer. I guess you could say the design elements are just the right mix. Next we have Deru's Enchanting Table by Deru Zejaku. Probably saying that wrong, but hey, I only speak Australia. In a very similar fashion to the last, this mod overhauls the visuals for the enchanting table with all new high definition textures, while staying completely true to the original design and colours. Once again, making me want to take up a new playthrough as a full-time enchanter. I guess you could say, if you wanted to, that these textures are enchanting. Next we have Ragnarok, Special Edition by Gamwich. Ah yes, Ragnarok, the fabled end of times in Nordic mythology, when all the rugs get destroyed. Well, this mod does the opposite, as it brings all new textures to the rugs, carpets, wall hangings, etc in Skyrim. It's a rather old mod and not available in 4K, 2K being the highest, and I think it would really benefit from a 4K brush up. But with that said, when compared to vanilla, the work this mod does is phenomenal, and nothing to shrug at. Or should I say, nothing to rug at. Next we have Peltapalooza, Special Edition by Gamwich. This mod is essentially the same thing as the previous mod, only it's not for rugs, it's for pelts, turning all pelts and fur bits and pieces lying around the place into much more visually soothing items when compared to the vanilla textures. Next we have Enhanced Blood Textures SE by D-Defined1. This mod quite simply retextures the blood splatters in the game, making it look, well, if I had to describe it, I'd say bloody good. It's a huge improvement over vanilla, making those kills feel even more brutal and satisfying. Next we have SSE SRO Enhanced Spider Sack by Mortz. A very niche mod, but one that sure makes a big difference, throwing away those besotted old textures for the spider sack and refreshing them with this high fidelity and detail. There are also a few color options like brown, green, white, dark grey and light grey. I have gone with white as it's closest to the vanilla look, and I personally find that the other options blend in with the environment too much. Next we have Much Better Night Mother by Savrin X, a mod that would make Cicero very happy, as it freshens up the Night Mother and her Iron Maiden, if you could even call making her grotesqueness higher fidelity freshening up at all. Maybe we should say it makes her more rotten and therefore look better. With whichever brush you wish to paint it, the Night Mother's looking pretty hot. Next we have Rustic Maps by Gamwich. There is certainly something oddly romantic about a map in a fantasy game. Well, this mod does them justice by providing super high fidelity textures. They look so good in fact that you might even consider stopping and looking at it for the first time ever. Next we have WizKid Hagraven Clutter and Bones by WizKid34. There are a surprising amount of textures that often get forgotten about until you see them and your eyes start bleeding. Well, this mod breathes some much needed life and attention into all the bits and bobs you'll find at a Hagraven's dwelling. Next we have Hearthfire Crafting Retextures by Cunny1975. A nice little mod that brings fresh new textures to some of those often forgotten assets in the game, those being all of the crafting bits and pieces and stations introduced with the Hearthfire DLC, while still maintaining the vanilla essence of course. Next we have Paragon Gems HD SE by Pradith16. This mod brings a fresh and gleaming new shine to the ancient, obscure, and ostentatious Paragon gems of the Snow Elves of old. There are a few different mods that retexture these items, and in my opinion at least, these are the nicest ones. Next we have 4K Bar Set by Cunny1975. Everyone likes a drink. And everyone likes a drink in Skyrim too, so you've got to make sure that the bar is looking nice and crisp, just like that first slug of mead. This mod does just that, providing lovely new textures to all bar sets found in various inns and taverns all around Skyrim, making you wish you could sit down at the Skyrim bar and drink along with your character. Next we have Remiros's Dragonborn Alcohol HD by Remiros. I love a drink as much as the next Nord, but my nostalgia loves little more than alcohol from Morrowind. Well, this mod brings those Dunmerry beverages introduced with the Dragonborn DLC, those being Flynn, Mazti, Sheen, and Sujama, to a whole new level of potent, with lovely high quality textures and models that would make anyone proud to take a sip. Next we have CC's HQ Cards by Clearance Clarence. If this were a shopping website, you'd want to throw this mod into your cart, as it brings nice new textures to the wooden carts of Skyrim, with a beautiful overall design that slots right in place of the original look of the wooden carts. Next we have SD's Horn Candles SE by SD Lutz. Here we have a mod that retextures the horn candles and horn chandeliers in game, obviously, making light work of these classic Nordically Viking motifed candles and adding some more detailed spice to them, brightening up their general appearance and appeal. Next we have JS Dragonclaws SE by John Skyrim. This mod retextures the Dragonclaws in game quite radically, deviating somewhat, well, a lot from their original design, especially with the claws made of precious stones, while the metallic claws look more akin to their original motif. Nonetheless, this mod has dazzling fidelity and its graphical beauty cannot be discredited. Next we have Gemstones Replacer HD SE by Pradith16. This mod replaces all of the models and textures for all of the gemstones in game, like all the diamonds and emeralds and sapphires and etc. etc. Not only that, but it does so beautifully, as these crystalline nuggets have never looked so good. In fact, they probably look better than what they're worth thanks to this mod. I guess you could say that this mod is a real gem. Next we have Rally's Werewolf Totems by Rally Etor. Here we have a handsome retexture for a trio of Hircine related items, the werewolf totems, those being the drum, bone wand, and the werewolf skull. I have personally never worn a wolf, but hey, each to their own. Now these totems look much better. Next we have Unique Skulls HD SE by Pradith16. This mod brings the unique skulls of Skyrim to a stunning modern graphical fidelity, making those special finds even more so. It also provides new skins to skulls added with the legacy of the Dragonborn. It's simple and niche, but it is beautiful work. Next we have Skyrim 3D Misk by Matthew79. Now this mod here has a bunch of separate files, each covering a select group of stuff. I personally only have the traps file installed, which retextures all of the traps in the game, of which there are quite a few, and it's also the only mod that I've ever been able to find on the Nexus that retextures all of the traps in the game. It doesn't, however, retexture the trap of Todd Howard re-releasing Skyrim, so you will indeed be buying yet another copy of Skyrim. Next we have JS Instruments of Skyrim SE by John Skyrim. Instruments in Skyrim aren't exactly instrumental to anything very meaningful in game, but this mod is most certainly instrumental in making your instruments look immaculate. As you would expect from John Skyrim at this point, the textures created for these items are absolutely stunning and might encourage you to actually watch one of those annoying bards perform, just so you can stare at their loot. Next we have CC's UHD Coal Piles by Clearance Clarence. This is a much needed retexture mod for the piles of coal that can mostly be found next to smelters. Their vanilla texture is truly an eyesore, and I am very, very thankful for this really coal mod. Next we have Rally's Fishing Poles by Ralliator. We're all jumping out of our skin to spend another $60 on Skyrim with the new Skyrim anniversary and its introduction of a fishing mechanic. Well, now you can fish in more style, as this mod brings, of course, high definition textures to the fishing poles within the game that will have you hooked. Next we have the SMIM Whiterun bench by Cunny1975. The benches of Whiterun might seem menial, but I was dissatisfied with their texture, and so I went in search of a better one and found this lovely mod. It provides an ultra crisp and detailed high fidelity texture for the wooden benches found dotted around the Gildergreen tree at the heart of Whiterun. They look so good in fact that I don't really want to run around and go into the dungeons and kill stuff. I just want to sit down right on one of these benches. Next we have Rally's Farming Tools by Ralliator. Here we have a little mod that only people of the countryside will appreciate. A new visual overhaul to the drab and easily dismissed farming tools, including the broom, the pitchfork, and the 2 variations of the shovel. Next we have Simple Sacks SE by Darshondo. Simple Sacks, quite simply, retextures the sacks, bags and flour sacks in the game. Something every man needs, a refresh of our sacks. Not too sure what that means, but this mod, pretty nice, give it a look. Next we have Elsopa HD Keys Redone SE by Elsopa. This mod is a lovely little touch, making those boring old keys into something much more eye-friendly, with a handful of nice new designs bearing nice fidelity to the otherwise dull keys that are found throughout the game. Next we have Deadly Spell Impacts by Isoku. This mod provides some nice little touches and much needed retextures to the marks that are left by spell impacts. So areas where fire spells have hit along with frost spells and lightning spells too. It also covers Spider Spit, Chorus Spit and the Afflicted Spit. To be quite frank, it will make an impact on your spell impacts. Next we have Arctic Frost Effects Redux by iRetrospect. Here we have a very cool, ice cold in fact little mod that brings all new textures, models and effects to all frost spells within the game. When it comes to those old vanilla textures, this mod gives them the cold shoulder. Next we have Ultimate HD Fire Effects SSE by XO Next Gen XO. This mod is red hot, as it greatly enhances the visuals for all fire effects in the game, just adding that little touch to every small, medium and large flame that you can run across. It provides much greater detail and fidelity to fire, which in turn just makes it all look more realistic and therefore more immersive. You'll have a burning desire to add this mod to your game. Next we have Brighter Torches and Toggleable Brighter Candlelights by FlipDeezy. This mod makes all torches and candlelight spells twice as bright. While I do like it in general, I mainly have this mod for filming purposes. Being able to easily fill an otherwise dark and dank dungeon with light makes my life as a Skyrim content creator so much easier. Also, Candlelight is now toggleable, so you simply cast it and it never expires, and when you want to turn it off, you simply cast it again, doing away with that 60-second lifespan. Once again, just making my control of lighting dark areas infinitely easier, so I'm able to bring you better and brighter content with ease. Next we have Clever Chaff's Photorealistic Ash Pile by Clever Chaff. Now the ash piles in game looked like a pile of crap and were in much need of a retexture. So finally we can do away with those potato vanilla textures and appreciate your vaporized enemies in modern fidelity thanks to this very mod. Next we have Oil Lamp Trap Retexture by Cunny1975. A nice new retexture mod for oil lamp traps found in the game. Not really something you ever get that close to, but it is pretty fun shooting them with a bow and arrow and dropping flames onto your enemies. Nonetheless, these oil traps now look much better than they did in vanilla, which I guess makes it more satisfying to break them. Next we have 4K Torturac by Cunny1975. If you always wanted to get tortured but just didn't find the racks attractive enough, well, this mod has you covered, with all new textures and environmental mapping to make torture racks in-game look more appealing than they ever have before. There is also a choice between a clean version and a bloody version, the latter of which is what I have gone for in my loadout. Next we have Elder Scroll HD SE by Pradith16. This is an absolutely beautifully crisp retexture for the Elder Scrolls themselves, available all the way up to 8K. I just have the 4K texture installed. The fidelity and overall design, from colors and contrasts to model, is gorgeous and brings a regality to the item that deserves it most, the namesake of the game series, the Elder Scrolls. Next we have Morrowind style skooma bottles by Dipilari. This mod very simply remodels and retextures skooma bottles to look how they did in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. It's no secret here on this channel that Morrowind is my favorite game, and this mod is purely a nostalgia trip for me. With that said, I do actually prefer the design of the Morrowind skooma bottles over the Skyrim design, and what a wonderful job that has been done here. The overall fidelity of this reimagining of the skooma bottle is truly crisp and stunning, and will leave your eyes and nostalgia feeling like you've just had a sip of the damn stuff. Next we have Alsopa HD Organic Burial Urns SE by Alsopa. This mod provides a beautiful new texture for the burial urns found all throughout Skyrim's iconic Nordic ruins, making them feel more aged and ancient while still retaining the Nordic flair and original vibe with really great detail and fidelity. So this mod sure has earned its place in my loadout. Next we have Unreal 4K to 8K Mammoth Skeleton Retexture by Remy Kun. This mod does bring unreal mammoth textures to the mammoth skeletons found throughout the wastes of Skyrim. The overall design and fidelity is truly something to behold, especially in the higher resolutions. Next we have Savran X Gore by Savran X. I guess you could call this mod gorgeous, as it retextures all of the gore bits and pieces you can find around Skyrim. Primarily the charred bodies and bloodied bones and bits and pieces stuck on stakes, stuff like that. Next we have Yeehaw Horse Saddle Retexture by Cunny1975. Quite simply, a quite nice retexture for the horse saddles in the game, with a bunch of different style options available to you, like vanilla, dirty, fancy, along with some others. So saddle up, install this mod and make your choice. Next we have the Horse Shoulder Harness Retexture by Cunny1975, a very similar mod by the very same author, delivering a new texture to the horse harnesses, and it's done quite nicely with a bunch of different options. I honestly am just not sure why this one isn't a single mod combined along with the previous one, but that's a concept I just can't harness. Next we have Imperial Saddle Retexture by, once again, Cunny1975. Adding to the great textures and growing confusion is yet another horse saddle mod by the same author, slapping from fresh new skins onto the Imperial horse saddles. Once again with a few different options to choose from, and again raising the question as to why it's not an all-in-one mod that just fixes all the horse gear in the game. Nonetheless, a minor complaint in the shadow of the brilliant textures provided. Next we have Alsopa, the Lovely Kettle SE by Alsopa. This mod brings a cool new texture to the kettles of Skyrim, adding neat little gothic feet and an overall reimagining of this iron tea maker. The feet might have been there the whole time, but you know, the vanilla version is so bad you can't tell. Nonetheless, I kind of want to become a witch just to use this. Next we have Jabba's 2K Archery Targets by the Jabba Turtle 57. Now, I've personally never been compelled to shoot an arrow at the archery target. However, with this fresh new texture, I'm tempted to sink a shaft into it. If I don't miss, of course. Also important to note that this is a retexture for the Static Mesh Improvement model, but you should have that installed anyway, so there should be no problem there. Next we have Training Dummies Retexture 4K and 2K by Haladun. Now, much like the archery target, I've never felt inclined to take a swing at a target dummy. But like a photo of me with a great filter, this mod also makes a dummy look so good you'll want to take a swing. Next we have Oil by Ramcoid by Shadow Angel 9. This mod is slick as oil, as it brings new textures to the oil that can be found on the ground in dungeons and other areas. This mod makes it look like true slick oil, sitting on the ground ready to flame up and cook something alive, hopefully not your character. Next we have Troll Skull Retexture by Cunny 1975. No, I'm not trolling. This is in fact a beautiful texture mod for the Troll Skull, which just makes the reminder of another troll's departure from life even more enjoyable, as you get to stare at its really well crafted skull. Next we have Deer Skull and Antlers Retexture by Cunny 1975. This fixes the aesthetic of those deer skulls you occasionally run into and take damage from while you're walking around. It also addresses the large and small antlers, which are actually alchemy ingredients. I will say, while the fidelity is great, I find the texture color choice is a bit strange, but the overall detail wins the battle for sure. Next we have Frankly HD Dragon Bones by Frank Family. If you're doing Skyrim right, you're going to be seeing a lot of dragon bones. Well, this mod makes those kills feel even more heroic, as the dragon skeletons will shine before you in super high fidelity, putting an even bigger smile on the dragonborn's face after a kill. Next we have Rally's Pillows by Rallyator. Skyrim isn't known for resting, but with this crisp new texture to the pillows of the land, you might want to consider it more often. There are 4 available designs for you to choose from. I went with the one that looks most like the vanilla one. Next we have the Business Ledger by Dead Unit. This is a simple and rather commendably detailed and crisp new skin for the classic and normally blurry business ledger that can be found in most shops throughout the main cities and towns of Skyrim. And I must say, oh my, this might be the highest quality texture mod I've ever seen, to the point where it's, I mean honestly it's nonsensical, but god damn, this is some high quality and crisp texture, the likes of which I really don't think I've seen before. Next we have Rustic Azura Star, Special Edition by Gamwich. As anything with Rustic in the title, we know that this mod will bring beautifully crafted textures in fidelity, design and contrast and color balance, etc, etc, retexturing both Azura Star and the Black Star, making your foes slightly happier about being soul trapped within them. Next, we have Iconic's Bust of the Grey Fox, retexture by Iconic Death. If you're a thief, this is a must-have, as to pay proper tribute to the Grey Fox by bringing new high-fidelity textures to his bust with this mod. Next we have CC's HQ Firewood by Clearance Clarence. How much better would Firewood look if Firewood would get retextured? Well, here's the answer. It's a nice and simple mod that makes Firewood look so much better, you might be concerned about getting a splinter. Next we have Rally's Honeypots by Rallyator. You'll be drawn like a bee to a honeypots, as this mod scrubs them up really nicely and has a red option and a vanilla option. The vanilla one is what I have gone with. Next we have Better Honey Nut Treats by Aviform. As if a honey nut treat wasn't already tasty enough, well, with this mod honey nut treats are now tasty to your eyes thanks to the much higher definition retexture, making nutting in your honey a treat. I mean, what? Honey nut treats, yeah, they're good. Next we have 2K Dog Meat by Cunny 1975. The dog meat isn't something many of us actually want to think about, you know, cause it's dead puppies, but this mod does bring all new high quality textures to the flesh of our pets. Maybe incentivizing you to have a taste of Snoopy's skin? Whether or not you do, the new and improved texture for this taboo meat product cannot be dismissed. Next we have Ruins Tools Retexture by Cunny 1975. Here we have a mod that brings a fresh new look to the ancient embalming tools that can be found in Nordic Ruins, namely the brain pick, the knife, the scalpel and the scissors, with both a clean version and a bloody version available for you to choose from. They look so good it will make you want to take up embalming as a hobby. Next we have Rally's Hooks and Saws by Rallyator. This is a lovely little retexture mod that not many people saw, but it does have me hooked. See what I did there? As this changes and totally refreshes the skins of the hooks and the saws within the game. Next we have High Poly Sweet Rolls SE by Cadreus, which comes with 2 different textures available. This is the vanilla texture style option in the mod that you're seeing right now. We all love sweet rolls, and I love them even more after this mod. A high quality retexture and remodel for the beloved sweet roll. Next we have Boiled Creme Treat, Sweet Roll and Pies by Pandora Tremere. This is a small culinary mod that improves the textures for the beloved sweet roll, boiled creme treats and pies. Of course I have the previous mod doing the sweet rolls, but the boiled creme treats and the pies look ever so nice in my game thanks to this mod. Next we have Skooma Pipes by Dipilari. Now in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, skooma was consumed by a cultural implement known as a skooma pipe. This mod quite simply adds in skooma pipes to Skyrim. Now this is one of, if not the only mod I have that adds things into the game that aren't already there, but it makes sense lore-wise and it can only be found in Dunmeri areas, the kind of people who culturally would be using a skooma pipe. And of course the Morrowind nostalgia, but all around this mod just adds a nice little touch of Morrowind to the game. Next we have the White File Replacer by Lord Joseph 7, an epic legendary bottle that has now got a new model and new texture overhaul to match, which will make the related quest all the more interesting when you retrieve it. It doesn't change the quest at all, it just makes it look a hell of a lot nicer. Next we have Remiros's Dwemer Ruins HD by Remiros. Here we have a mod that has definitely earned a place on my mod list, yes that's a joke I already used, as it brings all new high fidelity textures to the Dwemer Ruins introduced with the Dragonborn DLC, just bringing them into a whole new modern era of graphics. Next we have Leather Details and Other Things by Pandora Tremere. Here we have a nice little mod that upgrades the visuals of leather strips and the tanning rack in game. It also adds a new iron and cauldron retexture, but I don't have those active as they are being covered by other mods. All in all, a nice little mod that makes leather look better. Next we have Hunting Brew Decanter 4K by Sumerian Rose. This is a gorgeous remesh and 4K retexture for the Hunting Brew Decanter. It's got excellent composition, colors, and fidelity. It's an all-around winner, and even though it's a weird item, it will look really good on your display cabinet in the Thieves Guild, hall, dungeon, wherever they live. Next we have the HD Ruined Book retexture by the Master 19. The ruined books in-game, well, did look ruined, purely due to their low resolution, but this mod beautifies them by making them look even more ruined, in true ruining fidelity. Next we have HD Bear Traps 2K and 4K by Alduin. Here is a mod that your computer can bear. That's right, it's not a trap, but it is a lovely new texture for the bear traps in-game, making them look more realistic and brutal. A mod that will be sure to make your ankles sweat as you approach one of these on the ground in higher than ever definition. Next we have Realistic Paper, Parchment and Scroll texture by Xiloritus. Scroll through the Nexus no more, as this mod brings beautiful new textures to the paper, parchment and to the paper scrolls within the game, bringing quite literally the scrolls to the Elder Scrolls. It's worth noting that the parchment and other scroll textures are 2 separate files that you will have to install from the same mod. Next we have MFR's Dwemer Icabarrel by 794742233. Peryite gets little love in all senses, but one thing he does have in Skyrim is the Icabarrel, and this mod shows some love to those and in turn some love to Peryite, providing lovely new textures to these fuming cauldrons of green goo. Next we have Crusty Loaves SSE 2K bread retextures by Thunder Fluff. As the name might imply, this mod provides crusty, steamy and freshly baked textures for the various pieces of bread found throughout the provinces of Skyrim. If crust was a currency, this mod would be a breadwinner. Next we have Snazzy Model Ship by Gutmore. Ever want to make a mod that fixes the ugly-ass model ship found in the Thieves Guild questline? Well, don't worry, that ship has not sailed, it's parked right in the Nexus, as this mod fixes that problem for you, bringing a new model and new texture to the collectible model ship. It's so clean, in fact, that when viewed up close it almost looks like an actual normal-sized ship in Skyrim. Next we have the Burned Book retexture by the Master 19. Much like the Ruined Book, the same mod author has created this beautiful texture replacer for the Burned Book, making them look even more crispy than before. With overall brilliant fidelity and design elements, I'm almost tempted to burn my books just so they can look this good. Next we have Fur Bedroll by Alduin. I don't often sleep in game, but with this lovely new retexture for bedrolls, they look pretty comfy. They just look so lush and soft that I'm tempted to give my Dragonborn a rest from time to time. Next we have Dragonstone Retexture SE by Pradith16. The Dragonstone is probably one of the most recognizable quest items in Skyrim, being the key part of most players' first major dungeon and major quests. Well, this mod does this iconic item justice by providing all new high-resolution textures, making it look as good as it is nostalgic. Next we have the Essence Extractor by Cimmerian Rose. It's probably an item you won't ever look at, but all around it is a beautiful remesh and retexture that will make your foes quite happy to have this jammed into their flesh and their blood extracted. Next we have Rally's Civil War Document Tubes by Rally Eator. A rather niche mod, but it does provide a beautiful retexture to the Civil War documents and message from General Tullius. It also fixes UV mapping on the flags of the maps so the textures are the right size and present the text properly. A nice little bonus from a nice little mod. Next we have Better Mammoth Tusks by Aviform. Gotta say, this mod sure lives up to its name, as this retexture sure makes mammoth tusks look better. Just wish it was able to change the tusks on the actual mammoths because they do need some love. Nonetheless, this is a great addition for improving the appearance of this miscellaneous item in Skyrim. Next we have the Mammoth Cheese retexture by Alduin. It's a mod that Giant Sheogorath would be so proud of, a nice retexture for the mammoth cheese and for their fur containers too. Don't know if I want to eat it any more than before, but it definitely looks better. Next we have HD Linens SE by Dawnguard, simply bringing those ugly linen wraps in vanilla to a much higher and much more eye-friendly quality. Next we have Elsopa HD Meridia's Beacon SE by Elsopa. Here we have a new texture and model for the infamous Meridia's Beacon, as now a new look touches the beacon, as it's gone from a flat surface to the faces having a concave divot in them, just like how picking it up will make a divot in your soul. Next we have Iconic's Falmer Eye Gem retexture by Iconic Death. This mod is the apple in the eye of the Falmer, as it retextures their beloved crystal, the Falmer Eye Gem. It also looks a little less bright and shiny than the original, but the texture difference cannot be passed up at all. Next we have Clothing Iron 4K by Cimmerian Rose. I'm not one for ironing clothes really, but now I might be so inclined in Skyrim, although I don't know how ironing out Daedric armor will go. Anyway, the reason for my sudden interest in in-game ironing is because of this wonderful texture mod for the Clothes Iron, completely overhauling the visual appearance of the Clothes Iron from that 2011 potato graphics to the sharpest looking iron in all of Tamriel. Next we have the Chisel Replacer HD SE by Pradith16. This is a very niche little mod that beautifully retextures the chisels that the brainwashed acolytes of Merak hold and use to build monuments and structures to the first Dragonborn. Because it looks so nice, it has managed to chisel its way into my mod list. Next we have the HD Executioner's Block SE by Dawnguard. One of the scariest things at the start of the game is being sent to your knees to be executed, only to find yourself looking at the vanilla textures for the Executioner's Block. Ooh, scary stuff. Well, luckily this mod provides all new higher resolution textures for said block, making the seemingly impending execution much more enjoyable. And now we're moving on to the characters and creatures category. The first one is Tempered Skins for Females, UNP, C, BBE, and Vanilla by Tra108, bringing all new high-definition skin for female characters, which is a much-needed improvement because vanilla skin was oddly dirty, along with being really crappy resolution, and of course the general lower resolution and all-round old-school look, but luckily this mod fixes all of that. If beauty is only skin deep, then that's absolutely fine, because this mod looks leagues better than it did in vanilla. Next we have Tempered Skins for Males, Vanilla and SOS versions by Tra108. Much like the previous mod, well, exactly like the previous mod in fact, this one replaces all of the skin for males, providing natural looking skin that isn't covered in weird huge dirt patches for no reason. Skin, muscle definition, chest hair, veins, the whole lot will be completely overhauled to make males look more modern and not like they are from 2011. Next we have Caliente's Beautiful Bodies Enhancer, CBBE, by Alsneus. This is a body enhancer that comes with a few different body presets to give your character and female NPCs higher poly and, I guess, better shaped bodies when compared to vanilla. However, I also use a mod called Body Slide and Outfit Studio, also by Alsneus, which lets you create a custom body to be used on female characters in the game. I made a few versions and just stopped once I had a body that looked somewhat like a human, because it turns out that making a body in a program to look like a real human is very difficult. I'm sure I could make a better one, or that you could make a better one, but it turns out that body sculpting is definitely not within my skill set. Nonetheless, the combination of these mods provide just infinite possibilities for whatever you want your characters to look like in game. Next we have Improved Eyes, Skyrim by Nazen. While the mod author's name sounds like Nazim, this mod does actually take the eyes to the Cloud District and doesn't just ask you about it, providing all new detailed texture replacements for the existing eye variants in the game, for all races, including those introduced via DLC such as the Snow Elves. A really nice mod that makes characters feel more human and alive, compared to the very, well, computer game looking eyes from vanilla. Next we have Apache Skyhair SSE by Apache. Here we have a wide range of new hairstyles for both male and female characters in Skyrim. There are tens and tens of new hairstyles added, and I'll be frank, most of them to me don't really work within Skyrim, like a lot of them look kind of very anime-ish. But with that said, there are a certain handful that I find work very well in the rugged fantasy setting of Skyrim when creating certain characters, so I personally just use those. Next we have Seductive Lips HD SE Edition by Ek the Lion-O TW. This mod adds new HD lip tint masks for human and elf races, which provides more lively, natural, slightly shining looking lips, which I guess you could say makes them more seductive. Next we have SG Female Eyebrows by Centuros. Here we have a range of standalone eyebrow options that actually match the hair color of your character, making your character look more natural, I guess. When it comes to immersion, look, it's quite a high brow mod. Next we have Northborn Scars by Northborn. We all love slapping a scar on our new character to give them some cool backstory. Well, this mod brings all new high detailed scar textures to make your character and their history feel even more real and battle worn. Next we have Immersive Mouth and Teeth, Skyrim version by Clearance Clarence. Here we have a much needed improved texture for teeth, gums, tongues and mouths of NPCs in Skyrim. Not that we often really stare into the gobs of NPCs, but I think that might be due to the vanilla textures looking so grim. But now you can fully appreciate Lydia's teeth even more as she blocks a doorway in front of you. Next we have Immersive Mouth and Teeth for Orcs by Clearance Clarence. This mod simply brings high resolution teeth, gums and tongues for orcs, making their mouths more, well, I wouldn't exactly say kissable, but more hittable with an axe. Orcs are into that stuff, aren't they? But all jokes orc side, it does a lovely job of making their mouths look more realistic. Next we have Sakura's Makeup Kit by Sakura. While this mod doesn't add any new makeup styles, what it does do is basically add hundreds of new color variations for the existing makeup and war paint. So you can really customize your character when it comes to Skyrim's limited makeup color palette. This mod just makes up for it. Next we have Better Shaped Female Creatures by Anti-Wommagnot. As the name suggests, this essentially makes all female creatures, for lack of a better phrase, thicker, more curvaceous. It covers everything from Draugr to Spriggans to Hagravens, Fire Atronachs, Wisps, Falmer and Vampire Lords. Once upon a time in Elder Scrolls games, they included a wide array of more feminine female creatures, and this mod restores that to some degree. It's always kind of irked me somewhat that there are plenty of physically masculine male creatures, but for some reason all the female creatures in Skyrim are shriveled, crooked crones, and there's no representation of feminine beauty in female monsters. Well, while this mod is a little anime with its proportions, overall it's a huge upgrade to the vanilla shape and representation of all the female creatures. Next we have Rustic Daedra Special Edition by Gamwich. Here we have a retexture mod for all of the Daedra in-game, save for the Dremora for some reason. So it covers Flame Atronachs, Frost Atronachs, Storm Atronachs, Lurkers, Seekers, Ancient Frost Atronachs, and Ash Guardians. But this mod, as per usual with these rustic mods, delivers beautiful textures, ticking boxes in all departments: fidelity, contrast, colors, design, character, all around winner Daedric dinner. Next we have Luminous Atronachs by Rack67. This is a very simple yet effective mod that makes the Fire, Frost and Shock Atronachs emit light, giving them a greater sense of magic and Daedric energy spewing from them, adding to the overall fantasy feel of the game. I mean, it is subtle in the grand scheme of things, but when analysed it really is a brilliant little mod that'll lighten up your playthrough, both metaphorically and literally. Next we have Skeleton Replacer HD SE by Pradith16. This mod provides beautiful new textures for all things bony in Skyrim, with stunning fidelity and contrast, making bones look as good as new, well, as good as old I guess. It covers everything from skeletal enemies to skeletons on the ground, skeletons in crypts, burial piles, random bits and pieces that lie around the place like miscellaneous bones and skulls. It even covers all of the Soulcan mobs like Wraithmen, Bonemen and Mistmen. So honestly, as far as this mod goes, you will have no bones to pick with it. Next we have Savrin X Solstheim Creatures by Savrin X. This mod is a brilliant baseline kind of bulk mod that fixes the textures and models for a bunch of the Solstheim creatures. It covers Werebears, Netchers, Lurkers, Seekers, Ashhoppers, Reekling, Hulking, Draugr and Chorus. I do have some mods overwriting this mod for some of the creatures, but overall it's a lovely job for a handful of the monsters introduced with the Dragonborn DLC. Next we have the HD Reworked Dragon Collection by Hulk Hogan. Sometimes when you get too up and close and personal with a dragon, their stretched textures can cause more damage to your eyes than their claws, fangs and shouts. This mod paints them with a beautiful new lore-friendly look, keeping them feeling original while also just bringing them forward into more modern day graphics. Next we have Serpentine Dragon Retexture by Cunny1975. This is quite simply a retexture for the Serpentine Dragon added with the Dragonborn DLC, bringing a much needed refresh to these beasts as the vanilla texture is pretty bad. Next we have HD Reworked Mammoths by Hulk Hogan. Here we have a very nice looking mod that retextures the mammoths in game. As I always say, fur is very hard to do when it comes to textures, and the bigger the creature the more fur it has, so redoing a mammoth is, well, a mammoth undertaking that has been pulled off beautifully and makes those big hairy elephants look $1,000,000. Next we have Ice Wraiths Retexture by C.U. Lhater. You could say this mod is cool as it retextures Ice Wraiths, making them look much better than vanilla and making their rare encounter a much cooler, nicer visual experience. Next we have Elsopa HD Striders and Netchers SE by Elsopa. Here is a mod that made my heart happy, as it very nicely retextures the Netch and Silt Strider added with the Dragonborn DLC. Of course, creatures introduced in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, so therefore by default they are very close to my heart, making these nostalgic finds on Solstheim even more special. Next we have Falmer by Kejuan. Here we have a mod that simply retextures the Falmer in-game, making them look even creepier than before, with nice, vanilla-friendly designs, just with many more pixels. Next we have Elsopa HD Bristleback SE by Elsopa. If you thought bristlebacks were annoying before, well, they still are. Just now they will look better in 4K while they maul you to death. Next we have Troll by Kejuan. Unlike a modern troll, this mod is a good thing and slaps those pesky trolls with a complete lore-friendly and entirely eye-friendly visual overhaul. Trolls, frost trolls, armored trolls, and the Utterflight are all covered by this troll mod. Next we have Serene Wisp Mothers by Acod. Wisp Mothers are one of the most mysterious creatures in Skyrim, thought to be the ghosts of the ancient snow elves in common folk tales. Well, this mod does an absolutely lovely job with making them look much more detailed while still maintaining the original concept and design in mind. This mod provides hair for the Wisp Mothers, which along with their general overhaul makes them appear more feminine and enchantress-like, rather than just some hideous, grim-looking crone like in the vanilla game. Next we have Hagraven by Kejuan. This mod makes Hagravens look even better by making them even uglier with new high fidelity textures, if that makes any sense. Hagravens have never looked so good while looking so hideous in all their haggy glory. Next we have Ashes and Flames, Spawn and Guardian Retex by See You Later. Here we have a lovely little mod that retextures the ash spawns, making them even more creepy than they were before, also retexturing the ash guardians, making them more ashy than before. Next we have Draugr by Kejuan. Here we have another great mod that fully revamps all forms of Draugr, taking those ancient 2011 textures and slapping on some modern day ones, while still remaining completely lore friendly and true to the original feel and design of those undead shamblers. Next we have CC's Dwemer Automatons Remastered by Clearance Clarence. Here we have a mod that retextures all of the Dwemer Automatons, so Dwemer Spiders, Dwemer Spheres, Dwemer Centurions, Dwemer Ballistas, and also the Forge Master. I love all things Dwemer, so this is a really cool way to pimp them out and give them a little upgrade from those vanilla textures. Next we have Dragon Priest by Kejuan. Following suit, another mod from the same wonderful author, this mod fixes up all of the Dragon Priests in-game, making them look so nice you might even consider to start worshipping them, with their beautiful fidelity and crisp design while still feeling completely loyal to the original motif in the base game of Skyrim. Next we have Rustic Spriggan Special Edition by Gamwich. Spriggans are pretty cool creatures, and fittingly this mod provides some pretty cool new textures for all variants of Spriggan, honouring the original designs but bringing fresh new higher res textures to those elegant forest creatures. There is an optional file on the mod page that improves the Spriggan effects that you'll want to grab as well. Next we have Rustic Deathhound and Gargoyle Special Edition by Gamwich. This mod brings high resolution textures to the Deathhounds and Gargoyles introduced with the Dawnguard DLC. The Deathhounds have two colour options, a full black version and a more fleshy rotten version, which is the one that I have gone with. Next we have Giant by Kejuan. This mod, Giant, makes a giant improvement to the look of the giants in-game, totally staying true to Jonah Loeb's original design, which was actually modelled off of his father. Nonetheless, this mod does an excellent job of making the giants look better while also sticking with the original look. Next we have Rustic Frostbite Spider by Gamwich. Here we have a mod that will make your skin crawl as it brings all new extra-legged textures to all of the various spider types in Skyrim. I know that many people have a big issue with these enemies existing at all, but maybe that was due to their low-quality vanilla texture. So, solution, give this mod a crack, install it, and see if it helps with your fear of the frostbite spiders. On the flip side of the coin, it could make your fear worse as they look even more realistic and creepy. Next we have Sabercat by Kejuan. We have dog people, we have cat people, and well, if you're a cat person, this mod is a must, as it brushes up the big old Sabercats found around Skyrim, giving them all new and improved textures. Next we have McDonald's Highland Cows by John Rose 81. Everyone loves some McDonald's once in a while, and Skyrim is no exception, as it is evident with this mod. I always find that any creature with long fur is hard to remodel and retexture, but as far as cows go in Skyrim, this is the best and most convincing retexture that I have found for the native Highland cows within the province of Skyrim. Next we have Reworked Bears by Hulk Hogan. This mod brings all bears and bear related things including claws, pelts and bear traps into a much nicer graphical realm when compared to that vanilla experience, while of course it does still remain completely lore friendly. Next we have HD Reworked Horses by Hulk Hogan, which much like the previous mod, this brushes up all of the horse related textures in the game. It's something that you won't be able to say nay to. Next we have Superior Mud Crab 4K Retexture by Shoiguer. The classic mud crab, a staple of enemy within the Elder Scrolls. Well, now they be looking fresh as, while they snip at your ankles thanks to this mod. Not only does it freshen up their textures, but it also does so for the mudcrab chitin and mudcrab leg too. Next we have Unique Barbous Retexture by the Frank family. This mod brings a unique aesthetic to Barbous, giving him dark fur and glowing blue eyes, providing the character with the sense of him being more than a dog, which he is. It's pretty simple and a really cool way to bring some Daedric elements to a Daedric being hiding as a dog. Next we have Better Than Nando's by Space Pirate William. Now let's be honest, a lot of chicken is better than Nando's, including this one. It's a mod that brings new and various textures to the chickens of Skyrim. It also covers their eggs and nests, but as we saw previously, I have those being covered by a different mod in my loadout. But as far as the chicken goes, well, they get 5 out of 5 box for this one. Next we have Better Bats by Aviform. We all enjoy having a bat from time to time. Well, now you can enjoy them in Skyrim even more, as this mod retextures them in higher detail. While they are very rare to come across in caves and the like, and they're very hard to see up close and personal, if you ever do, you will appreciate the work that Better Bats does. Next we have Rally's Butterflies, Moths and Torchbugs by Rallyator, a beautiful mod that applies really quite lovely and high fidelity textures to the blue butterflies, the monarch butterflies, the lunar moths and the ancestor moths and the torchbugs within the game, making running across them just that little bit more special with their really quite lovely textures. Next we have HD Bees and Honeycomb from Aviform. Here we have some much needed love to the sweet, sweet bug the bee, giving it a new, much higher fidelity texture, sure to add a certain buzz to your game. This mod also retextures Honeycomb, which as far as I can tell is an item missed by all other texture mods. So if you want your sweet stuff to look even sweeter, this is the mod for you. Next we have Rally's Ants by Rallyator. Ants are a huge part of Skyrim. They're so massive that you see them like 3 times in game. But now when you do see them, they will have a new crispy and crawly texture that makes them look more realistic. So now you will be even more inclined to creep around the forest of Skyrim looking for a tree stump with ants crawling on them, just to appreciate the texture. Next we have Improved Dragonfly by Aviform. This mod retextures the dragonflies in Skyrim, both the orange dartwings and the blue dartwings. The glow up compared to the vanilla skins is unreal, as the fidelity and design of this mod is truly stunning, making you want to catch these little buggers even more than usual. It's almost a shame to use them for a potion because they just look so damn good. Next we have Salmon Retex Realistic Salmon by Ice885. Nothing fishy going on here, just a simple mod that retextures the salmon of Skyrim. I guess you could say that their textures were scaled up? Next we have Forgotten Vale Cave Worm High Poly Meshes by Kenjis. This is a mod that goes above and beyond with retexturing and remeshing the glow cave worm things that can be found in the Dawnguard DLC. While they sure are minor and only seen in a few caves, this mod does render them as something so nice you'll have to stop and admire them. And now we're moving on to the category of weapons, armor and jewelry. First up is Lean Wolf's Better Shaped Weapons SE by Lean Wolf. This is an interesting mod and fixes a problem that I didn't notice until I saw this mod. Essentially, it reshapes the models of certain weapons to make them look more realistic, and while of course Skyrim is a fantasy game and realism isn't exactly paramount, a lot of the vanilla designs for things like swords are a bit thick and cartoony. Well, this mod rectifies that by basically just making everything a bit thinner to look more like something your character would or could actually use and less like an anime weapon. So it's essentially an immersion mod for weapons. Next, we have two mods at work here. First, a Midian Book of Silence SE by Cryptopire, and a Midian Armor Upscale Textures by Cthulhu's Thrall. So here we have the ultimate baseline for making weapons and armor in Skyrim look magnitudes better than in vanilla. Firstly, a Midian Book of Silence SE provides crisp, higher resolution textures for almost all armor and weapons in the game, along with some creatures, and the Midian Armor Book of Upscale Textures has used AI to upscale the bulk majority of those textures from the previous mod to 4K. Together they provide a beautiful foundation for you to build upon, but even with that said, you'll find that the textures provided by these two mods are sometimes superior to standalone retexturing mods that cover a certain weapon or armor type. So these two mods combined are a must-have for starting your journey in bringing Skyrim to more modern graphical standards. Next, we have Rustic Clothing Special Edition by Gamwich. This mod is essentially the Midian of clothing. It completely retextures all clothing in game. Anything cloth or leather related that can be worn by the player is covered with this mod. Not only does it cover hundreds and hundreds of items, but it does so beautifully, as always with Gamwich's work, while staying on course and loyal to the vanilla designs, with nothing from this mod feeling strange or out of place within the world of Skyrim. This mod will no doubt make you consider playing a mage just so that you can wear a robe, because it looks that good. Next we have Savrin X Lux Weapons by Savrin X. This mod brings a collection of stunning retextures to a handful of unique items, including the Bloodied Blade of Woe, the antique black and gold ebony blade, the black chrome mace of Mologbal, the bloodied Harken sword, the funky skull of corruption, Mirak weaponry, i.e. the staff and the sword, romantic sanguine rose, silver rueful axe, black shine Volendrung, and golden staff of Magnus. They're the ones that I have installed, but it also covers silver and gold Oriel's bow, detailed stainless wabberjack, elegant silver Mehrunes razor, but I have other mods installed that cover those items. It's also worth noting that each of those files I just mentioned has to be downloaded and installed separately from the same mod page. It's not one bulk file install. Nonetheless, a beautiful assortment of unique skins for your unique items, making those special finds feel much more special. Next we have Elemental Staves SE by Carnage 2K4. This is a really neat mod that not only retextures staffs in game, but also adds glow maps and a look to each staff depending on its magical type. For example, the destruction staves have different appearances, making fire staves look more fiery, frost staves look more frosty, and lightning staves look more lightning-y. This also goes for all other staffs too. Overall, it's a really cool mod, which hopefully didn't require many staff to make. Next we have Improved Weapons Enchantments Effects by Kalarian. This mod quite simply brings higher quality weapon enchantment textures and animations to, would you believe it, weapon enchantments. It does change the look somewhat, but it's still entirely within the realm of lore friendly, and I guess gives a bit more of oomph to the magic coursing through your weapon. Next we have Improved Wabberjack by Cunny 1975. This mod brings a stunning texture to the infamous Wabberjack. It's so crazy good that even Sheogorath would be proud. It is significantly darker than the original, but it has a really cool pearlescent purple shine and added glow in the mouth that makes it feel much more like a magical artifact. Next we have Keening Remastered SE by Dipolari. Keening is one of the most influential artifacts in Tamrielic history, as it was one of the tools responsible for the disappearance of the Dwemer and the end of Dagoth-Ur's reign of terror. This retexture for the Dwemer artifact does its history justice, with brilliant detail and fidelity, a truly beautiful mod for such an important item within the Elder Scrolls universe. Next we have Ancient Nordic Pickaxe by Cunny1975. This mod freshens up the visual for the Nordic Pickaxe, the ancient tool used for harvesting Stalhrim by the Skull. The texture contrasts are quite dark, but once you get up close you can really appreciate the fidelity and detail. Next we have Dragon Masks Retextured SE by Exo Next Gen XO. The Dragon Priest masks are some of the most iconic armor pieces in Skyrim, so such items deserve a lovely retexture, which is exactly what this mod delivers, bringing super high resolution and fidelity while maintaining the original color palette and design of each mask. Truly a wonderful mod that makes you even happier while collecting the Dragon Priest masks from the various corners of Skyrim. Next we have Auriel's Shield and Bow by Pradith16. Here we have a lovely little mod that retextures Auriel's bow and shield. The Aurielic artifacts, Anuic artifacts even? It has two options available. One is more white in color and one is more gold in color. I have gone with the whiter version to stay true to the original palette of the items. Next we have Gemling Queen Jewelry SE by Lord Joseph 7. This mod brings beautiful new textures and higher poly models to all of the base jewelry in the game, you know, rings, necklaces, circlets, gold, silver, etc. The difference to vanilla is stunning and actually makes these pieces look like they were worth their value. It doesn't cover all of the unique jewelry, but fear not, as the next entry on the list does that, which is Rustic Amulets Special Edition by Gamwitch. Here we have a beautiful mod that will bring those tiny little pieces of jewelry into a completely new and stunning modern era of visuals. It doesn't cover the base jewelry, as the previous mod has that covered, but what this mod does cover, it does so very well. This mod will improve the Amulet of Akatosh, Arcade, Dibella, Julianos, Kinnereth, Mara, Stendar, Talos, and Zenithar, along with the Amulet of Articulation, the Ancient Nord Amulet, the Amulet of the Elder Council, the Necromancer Amulet, the Vampire Amulets, the Hawk Skull Amulets, and the Skull Amulet, and the East Empire Company Amulet, along with the Ring of Namira and the Ring of Hersine. Overall, a wonderful mod. Next we have Daedric Armor Remastered SE by Dipolari. Here is a cool mod that brings lovely new textures to various Daedric artifacts found in Skyrim. While the design of each do stray a little from the original vanilla design, in my opinion, at least this mod carries on or evolves upon the core concepts of those items and just brings new and fitting characteristics to the design of the pieces. Most notably is adding what appears to be an Ethereum reflector on the face of the Spellbreaker shield. So while deviating from the original design, it looks pretty cool and I guess makes sense lore-wise. This mod covers the Ebony Mail, the Savior's Hide, the Mask of Clavicus Vile, Spellbreaker of course, and the Rings of Namira and Hersine, but those last two I have been covered by the previous mod. Overall though, a really cool mod that jazzes up all of the wearable Daedric artifacts. Next we have Frankly HD Dragonbone and Dragon Scale Armor and Weapons by Frank Family. If you've ever looked at the Dragon Scale Armor and Dragonbone weapons and armor and thought, throw me a bone, well, this mod is that bone, bringing beautiful high fidelity textures to all Dragonbone weapons and armor along with the Dragon Scale Armor. A fitting appearance for stuff made out of bones of the children of Akatosh. It's got huge clout, so now it's got huge looks to go with it. Oh, and of course it covers the jagged crown as well. Next we have CC's HD Daedric Weapons and Armor by Clearance Clarence. The classic fan favorite armor set, Daedric. Well, what better way to celebrate it than with this beautiful retexture? There are a number of Daedric Armor retexture mods that you can find on the Nexus, but out of all of them, this one just tickled my fancy the most for whatever reason. And it's got a design that complements the original beautifully. Next we have Frankly HD Dawnguard Armor and Weapons by Frank Family. Have you ever considered joining the Dawnguard? Vampire hunters or something? Well, if you have, now you'll be even more inclined to join their ranks, as we have a full armor and weapon overhaul for the Dawnguard faction's weapon and armor. As per usual with Frank Family, these textures are absolutely beautiful and crisp and clean, and just straight up delicious to lay your eyes upon. This mod is a welcome one to Dawn on your loadout. Next we have True HD Nightingale by SkyWarrior1. This mod retextures the Nightingale armor with all new high definition textures, keeping true to the vanilla look. It also covers the Nightingale weapons, however, I have the next mod handling that as I prefer those textures. And that next mod is Frankly HD Nightingale Armor and Weapons by Frank Family. Now this mod does the same as the last, however, I have the other mod doing the armor and this mod doing the weapons, as again I just prefer the textures that each mod provides for said assets. And the textures that this one provides for the weapons are truly gorgeous. So between the two of them we have some very sleek looking Nightingales. Next we have CC's HD Dwemer Weapons and Armor by Clearance Clarence. There are few things cooler in the Elder Scrolls than the Dwemer. Well, now their weapons and armor look even cooler thanks to this retexture mod. It shines those metals and crispens that fidelity, honoring the vanilla design while also just making them look much better. Next we have Frankly HD Thieves Guild Armors by Frank Family. Do we have any thieves in the house? Because this retexture mod will steal your heart. Regardless, we have a beautiful retexture for the Thieves Guild armor, covering all variants, the base set, the Guildmaster, Linwe's, Blackguard armor, and Carlia's armor. Maybe even the guards will let you off for looking this good. Next we have HD Falmer Armor, Weapons, Hots, Everything Glow by XTXVXTX. Who else? Here we have an interesting mod that has upscaled the textures of all things Falmer, the weapons, armor, huts, even the chorus. But what is particularly enthralling about this mod is that it adds a glow to all of those little green dots found on Falmer armor and weapons, making them glow in the dark, which for me adds a real creepy high fantasy vibe, making those Falmer skulking in the dark look extra scary as they shamble towards you with many dotted green nodes getting closer and closer. It kind of looks a bit Splinter Cell-esque. So when it comes to Falmer weapons and armor, this mod is a literal glow up. Next we have CC's UHD Solstheim Weapons and Armor by Clearance Clarence. Here we have a retexture mod for the Solstheim weapons and armor, which I do believe are textures not addressed by any other retexture mod, so this one is a lifesaver. The texture designs are completely true to the original vanilla design, they just have many more pixels and a much nicer look. I guess you could say it's a cool mod, ice cold even. Next we have Frankly HD Imperial Armor and Weapons by Frank Family. Frankly, I have never really been an Imperial supporter, but with this mod I am tempted, just so I can walk around in the Imperial armor and hang around with people in it too, as this mod delivers absolutely beautiful renditions of the entire Imperial armory and weaponry, providing truly gorgeous textures to all things Imperial. Armors covered include heavy, studded, light, Penitus, Tullius, and Carius armor. The weapons covered are the bow, the sword, and the cudgel. Of course, these are the only Imperial weapons in the game. All in all, a beautiful mod that would make even Tiber's Septim proud. Next we have Ancient Falmer Armor HD by Praded16. While it is seldom seen armor, this brings a beautiful new texture to the Ancient Falmer armor set, with, as we've come to expect from this author, stunning work, staying true to the original design and just brushing it up immensely. Next we have Frankly HD Shrouded Armor by Frank Family. Here we have at face value a lovely retexture for the Dark Brotherhood armor. In my opinion, it has the highest fidelity and detail of any of the mods that address this texture. However, it is also the largest deviation from the original design and colors, especially the fact it is lighter in the traditionally darker areas. It also looks more worn and used, but I do really like it. But if it is not to your taste, there are several other mods that will provide a more vanilla look for you. Next we have HD Reworked Armors, Iron by Hulk Hogan. Here we have a lovely retexture mod that fixes up that old classic iron armor, staying 100% true to the vanilla design, simply just with much higher resolution textures, making it slot right into the feel of Skyrim. Next we have Frankly HD Mirak by Frank Family. This mod fully retextures Mirak's armor and his mask, bringing the legend to much more presentable and palatable to the eye level of modern day graphics. Next we have Taj of the Blooded by Cunny1975. Here we have a nice retexture mod for the uniquely skinned unique item, the Taj of the Blooded. An often forgotten about item, but not today, as it's now got some visual love and looks more ready to kill than ever. Next we have JS Helm of Ingol SE by John Skyrim. Here we have a complete remake of the Helm of Ingol, although it does stay completely true to the original design. Quite simply, it's an immaculate makeover for the unique helmet, making it look absolutely picturesque and beautifully crafted. Next we have Tsun Armor Retexture by Cunny 1975. Just as the name suggests, this mod retextures Tsun's armor, who you meet guarding the Whalebone Bridge in Sovngarde. While he is only briefly encountered and his armor can only be briefly admired, the detail and fidelity in this mod is stunning, and I could not pass it up. Next we have CC's HQ Guard Shields SSE by Clarence. I've never wanted to become a guard in Skyrim, but with this shield retexture mod I am highly considering it. Given that I'll get given and get a hold of a whole shield that's just got such a crisp and gorgeous retexture, Overhaul, applied to it. Next we have Iconic's Ysgramor's Shield Retexture by Iconic Death. This mod provides an all-new, completely vanilla-friendly retexture for Ysgramor's shield, which of course, being a Nord hero, is only fitting that his shield has a lovely, high-fidelity look to match Ysgramor's legendary status. Next we have Sun-Hallowed and Bloodcursed Arrows HD Retexture by Alana12. This is a lovely little retexture for the obscure and easily forgotten Sun-Hallowed and Bloodcursed Arrows in the Dawnguard DLC. You will, however, have to download the mods for both arrows separately, as there is no 2-in-1 install option available. Ah yes, now this next bunch of mods will cover quickly all together, as they are all retextures for individual types of arrows and they're from the same mod author. But they are all individual mods and not just one bulk mod that retextures all the arrows. Anyway, links to all of them will be provided in the description and in the comments, of course. So these are all textures and in some cases remodels for the arrows, bolts and quivers in the game by the Master 19. They are all absolutely lovely and have amazing fidelity. However, I do not have the Orcish arrows, Falmer arrows or Ebony arrows installed because one way or another they just weren't to my taste. However, I am using the Nord hero arrows, the Forsworn arrows, the Elven arrows, the Dragonbone arrows, the Daedric arrows, the Ancient Nordic arrows, the Iron arrows, the Dwarven bolts, the Dwarven arrows, Steel arrows, and Steel bolts. Now I do believe the only arrows not covered by the Master 19 are the Glass arrows and the Stalhrim arrows. Anyway, all in all, it's a beautiful little collection to pimp out your sneak archer builds with. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is quite literally a showcase of every single mod that I have installed in my Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition loadout. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found a new mod that you really like and that you're going to install, and if you did enjoy this video and the mods that you saw in it, please send all your love, all the kudos, all the praise to the actual mod authors who created these. Be sure to let me know what your favorite mod was, and be sure to let me know if there's any other mods that you think would complement my already existing Skyrim mod list. I'd love to hear about it. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Skyrim mods out there, so you know, finding every single one that you would actually want to use is pretty much impossible. That's why I'm really glad I can make a video like this for you guys, so you might be able to find something new. So I've been Camel. I don't have much else to say other than I am completely out of breath and starting to lose my voice. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out my social media. Again, give all the love to the mod authors themselves, and I will see you in the next video. I'll see you there soon.